Hello, good morning, and welcome to Adbn News at 7, where we bring up the latest headlines from Nigeria and the world. I am Bito Brian. In the news this morning, President Bola Tinubu says Nigeria's economic reforms have stabilized the economy and ushered the country into a golden era, commending state governors for supporting the reform agenda. Speaking while receiving a delegation of Northeast stakeholders led by Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum at the State House, the president urged governors to consolidate the gains of the reforms and ensure Nigerians benefit from economic growth. President Tinubu also called for sustained collaboration in tackling terrorism and banditry in the Northeast, reaffirming his administration's commitment to national unity, democratic stability, and improved social welfare. In a separate development, President Bola Tinubu has approved the expansion of the Nigerian Army from 8 to 12 divisions to strengthen the country's architecture and operational effectiveness. The president also approved the recruitment of 28,000 additional personnel alongside the acquisition of military equipment, improved troop welfare, and continued support for force modernization. The implementation will be carried out in 2 phases, with completion scheduled for September and December 2026 as part of efforts to tackle Nigeria's evolving security challenges. The Senate on Thursday resolved to strictly enforce its rule against ministries, departments, and agencies of the federal government that failed to honor invitations to appear before its committees for oversight and budget performance reviews. The resolution followed the adoption of a motion sponsored by the chairman of the Senate Committee on Finance, Senator Sani Musa, over what lawmakers described as persistent refusal of several government agencies to appear before Senate committees to defend their budgets and account for public funds. Moving the motion, Senator Musa expressed concern over the growing disregard for legislative oversight by some agencies, warning that the trend undermines accountability and transparency in public administration.
Or furnish the information requested in blatant disregard of the oversight powers vested in the National Assembly by the Constitution. This persistent non-compliance constitutes a direct affront to the constitutional authority of the Senate, undermines the doctrine of separation of powers and checks and balances, weakens legislative oversight, and erodes transparency and accountability in the management of public resources.
Supporting the motion, Senator Abdul Ningi said the Senate could no longer continue pleading with government agencies to perform what he described as their constitutional obligations.
The committee has reported this infraction. The House can say, give the committee a final warning to now request the presence of these organizations. If that does not work, the committee will now write not to the President of the Senate, not the President of the Senate writing. The legislature, as we are now, we can now write to the President.
Similarly, Senator Adams Oshomole maintained that the repeated failure of some agencies to appear before lawmakers had nothing to do with President Bola Tinubu, insisting that the responsibility rests squarely with the heads of the defaulting institutions.
Talking about the executive, we should be very clear that this executive does not mean the head of the executive section. But I do, of course, understand that all MDAs are under the executive. There may be some of our agents in the Senate who might take some actions or behave in a manner that did not receive your approval. But that does not mean that is the Senate position. So that said, that this is not about the president. It is about the MDAs, and we should be so specific.
Contributing to the debate, Senator Danladi Envuluanza cited Section 89(2) of the 1999 Constitution, arguing that the Senate possesses the constitutional authority to issue warrants compelling the appearance of officials who ignore legislative summons.
May I refer to the confirmation of Mr. President, Section 89, subsection D of this Constitution, in total agreement with the submission of distinguished Senator Orji, with respect to the fact that the presidency should not be involved in this matter because the constitutional powers conferred in the Senate on the Senate is clearly spelled out.
Reacting to the debate, Senate President Godswill Akpabio acknowledged the concerns raised by lawmakers but faulted Senator Sani Musa for not fully utilizing the powers already available to his committee to ensure compliance.
Senator Abaribe, I was saying, now you see, now you know. He just joined us, but he has read the rules, he has read the Constitution. You see the difference? Because clearly speaking, we cannot lament. We can't lament. We have the powers from the ground norm that rules the country, and that is the Nigerian Constitution. Senator Olaka, am I right? So by mentioning Senator Section 89 and trying to remind us of our powers, he's saying we shouldn't be discussing this issue, that we should exercise, we should act, and go into other issues.
Senator Ugochi Onawo reminded the Senate President of an earlier incident involving Senator Oshomole and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL.
We invited some people, they refused to come. And we wanted to invoke the powers of this Senate. There was a proposal that the Senate President was going to be approached to give powers to invite these people by summoning or a warrant of arrest. This Senate turned it down. And so the other agencies were emboldened to do that.
The debate became even more animated after Senator Adams Oshomole proposed an additional prayer empowering the Senate President to promptly approve requests for warrants against heads of agencies who repeatedly ignore Senate invitations.
The committees of the Senate shall, in line with the provision of the Constitution, recommend to the Senate President who shall be obliged, in line with the Constitution, to issue bench warrant or warrant of arrest on any agency that defaults. I want that to be specifically stated, and it should be done with decorum. I agree.
Sorry. When
but
you have
the will to exercise that power
when you have additional prayers, you don't go back into debate. That is the rule of the Senate. Any additional prayer.
No, I'm saying it should not be done with decorum, so that the Senate President shall have no excuse not to exercise the powers vested on you.
You are going into debate.
Responding, the Senate President maintained that while the Senate possesses constitutional powers to compel attendance, such powers must always be exercised strictly in accordance with the Constitution, relevant laws, and the Senate standing orders.
The rule does not give power to the committees to issue warrant of arrest. No, listen now.
Yes, sir.
And the rule does not say that we should not talk to people with decorum. A situation where we tell head of an agency that a person is a thief and that the entire agency or the entire NNPC is full of fraudsters. That is too conclusive, and that they are thieves. Then we expect them to go and represent Nigeria when NNPC is 100% owned by Nigeria. So these are the issues. So don't jump into something that you were not very well briefed.
Following extensive deliberations, the Senate resolved to call on the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, the Head of Civil Service of the Federation, and all ministers to ensure that agencies under their supervisions promptly honor invitations from the National Assembly. The lawmakers further resolved that any ministry, department, or agency that deliberately refuses to appear before the Senate committees or obstructs legislative oversight would henceforth face sanctions under the 1999 Constitution as amended, the Legislative Houses Powers and Privileges Act, and the Fiscal Responsibility Act and the Senate Standing Orders. Away from the red chamber, in the Green Chambers, the House of Representatives efforts to strengthen Nigeria's security framework. But despite overwhelming support for the proposal, the process ended with a protest from members of the minority caucus. Adbn's correspondent, Laraba Murray, reports.
Those against you say nay. That is of it.
The bill was passed after 211 lawmakers voted in support during consideration of the Constitution Review Committee's report. The proposal seeks to provide the constitutional framework for the establishment of state police as part of efforts to improve security across the country.
Total names, we have 35 names in support. And if you add the total members who have signed our register, totaling 276, plus the 35 members that have shown their direction on the platform of the House, we have a total of 311 members.
Supporters of the amendment say it will bring policing closer to communities, strengthen intelligence gathering, improve coordination among security agencies, and provide a stronger response to security threats.
Speaker, our responsibility here today as lawmakers is to establish the constitutional foundation for this important reform and allow the legislative process to continue strengthening its implementation.
Although the bill was passed, members of the minority caucus staged a walkout, maintaining that while they support the establishment of state police, the constitutional amendment should have followed due process.
For Mr. Speaker to sit as chairman of the committee of the whole and just read the long title of it and then put a voice question for determination of an alteration that requires two-thirds and clause-by-clause consideration and voting is absurd. And that is why we have come to tell Nigerians.
The passage of the State Police Bill marks another stage of the constitutional process as lawmakers continue to improve the security architecture of Nigeria. Laraba Murray, Adbn News.
Enugu aircraft carrying 72 passengers and crew members veered off the runway after landing at Benin Airport, Edo State on Thursday. The Embraer 170 aircraft operating the Enugu-Benin-Lagos route experienced a runway excursion at about 1:57 p.m. The Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, and emergency responders swiftly evacuated everyone on board. She was brought under control. FAN and Enugu Air confirmed the incidents whilst the airline reaffirmed its commitment to safety. Aviation authorities have launched an investigation to determine the cause as normal flight operations have resumed at the airport.
They work at the countryside. Now they think, as a customer, they come here, I won't go say market. Now they think, now I come the come turn back with the phone like this. Now I come look at my aeroplane. People come, they begin the rush. They say, what did happen where this thing come phone like that? So as we reach there now they say maybe now it don't get problem and make it come phone like that. So now so it takes some the time where rain they fall.
Concerning the air crash, this tree has been an impediment for all the time the plane may likely be clashing on that tree. So if the authority can deem it wise to clear it, it will be more better.
Enugu Air says one of its aircraft experienced a runway incursion after landing at the Mini Airport on Thursday. The airline confirmed that all passengers and crew safely disembarked, with no injuries recorded. The airline noted that while aviation authorities are investigating the incidents, it added that some flights may be rescheduled, reaffirming that passenger safety remains top priority. The National Identity Management Commission, NIMC Director General, Engineer Abisoye Koka-Odushote, has continued strategic engagements with key government institutions to strengthen collaboration under the NIMC Act 2026, with a focus on advancing secure digital identity, improving service delivery, and promoting inclusive governance. Here's the report.
At the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, the Director General NIMC harped on leveraging secure digital identity to promote inclusion, improve access to government programs and social services in order to support women and vulnerable groups.
We're the home for digital public infrastructure, which speaks to a set of shared systems around identity, payment, and data exchange that will enable very easy access to goods and services for citizens, and also ensure that there's interoperability between all the government, key databases, and citizens are able to rely on that.
Responding, the Minister of Women Affairs reiterated her commitment to working together with NIMC to ensure that every Nigerian, regardless of gender or circumstance, can fully benefit from a secure and inclusive digital ecosystem.
We're the lead protection ministry for government. The protection component of your act is also something that is commendable. Women are the most SMEs in the country. They like to pay online, they like to shop online. They belong to different marketplaces online. So identity management plays a critical role in ensuring that business is being done fairly and they're well protected.
In a related development, the Managing Director and CEO of the Bank of Industry underscored the importance of verifiable data in supporting enterprise development and promoting a more inclusive digital economy in line with the federal government's Renewed Hope agenda.
I want to assure you that we will continue to work with you. We need you, essentially. So it's not going to be a one-off collaboration. We have to set up a working team that will identify areas in which we can partner together and resolve some of our common problems.
The visit culminated at the office of the Special Advisor to the President on Energy, where discussions centered on the role of trusted digital identity in supporting the energy sector through improved governance, enhanced service delivery, data-driven planning, and the development of a secure digital public infrastructure that drives sustainable growth.
The ability to integrate all the things that you've talked about strategically, public services, and for us in particular, right? When you started this, we said you've seen what they've done in India, and honestly, this exceeds it. This has the potential to exceed that. Mm-hmm. For sure, it exceeds the U.S. because I told you my social security card in the U.S. I still carry actually a physical card, and if you want it, you have to apply for a physical paper card that you then have to laminate yourself.
From the nation's capital, Beto Brian, Adbn News.
Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has handed over his deputy Bayo Lawal after the State House of Assembly approved his request for a 33-day annual leave. The leave approved during Thursday's plenary would run from August 10 to September 11, 2026, in line with constitutional provisions. Governor Makinde is expected to resume official duties on September 14, 2026. Enugu State Governor Peter Mba has called for a shift from certificate-based learning to experiential education, urging Nigeria to produce more innovators, entrepreneurs, and problem solvers. Speaking at the 55th Convocation Lecture of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Governor Mba said Enugu's human development model is inspired by the Igbo apprenticeship system and focuses on expanding access to quality education, healthcare, technology, and economic opportunities. He also highlighted key infrastructure projects including Enugu Air, the 300-bed Enugu International Hospital, and a proposed 660-megawatt power plant at UNN. UNN Vice-Chancellor Professor Simon Urutonya and former Minister of Power Professor Chinedu Mbo praised his development efforts. In Edo State, the state government has flagged off the distribution of free fertilizers to more than 12,000 profiled farmers across the state's 3 senatorial districts under the federal government's Renewed Hope Agricultural Support Program. The initiative is aimed at boosting food production, improving farmers' yield, and strengthening food security across Edo State. Speaking at the flag-off ceremony in Benin City, the Commissioner for Agriculture and Food Security, Dr. Jerry Owanugu, said the state had received an initial batch of 8,000 bags of fertilizer from the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security.
This is a result of a deliberate policy and investment made by the administration under the leadership of His Excellency Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. To the small holders farmers who are the true heroes of our food system. This ceremony is not just a formal exercise, but a reflection of the federal government's continued commitment towards ensuring food availability and security, improving rural livelihoods, and promoting sustainable agricultural practice across the country.
Representative of the National Agricultural Development Fund and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture described the program as part of the federal government's commitment to supporting rural farmers, increasing agricultural productivity, and promoting sustainable farming practices.
Nigeria's Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu for this great initiative, the Renewed Hope Agenda. It is our pleasure having this today, because after this exercise and after the distribution, we are expecting to have more yield of agricultural produce in Edo State.
Beneficiaries welcomed the initiative, describing it as timely support that would reduce production costs and increase output during the farming season.
I'm so happy seeing this kind of organized section of the agric, that when this thing was to take place, when I heard it, I was surprised. I said, it will work, not knowing that it's going to take place. So I am happy today that this thing is taking place today.
I want to say thank you so much for this wonderful fertilizer that has been organized for farmers here in Edo State. We are particularly elated. We, the Women in Agriculture Network, we are particularly happy that this will boost food production, both in our backyard farming practice and even those who are doing it in a more elaborate form. We are so happy that this will go a long way to go. It's a very big boost in our farm produce and production.
As distribution begins across the state, the program is expected to strengthen agricultural productivity, improve farmers' livelihoods, and support Edo State's drive towards greater food sufficiency. Still in Edo State, the Edo State Police Command has intensified efforts to restore peace in Iyanomo Community, Ikpobaoka local government area, following a renewed leadership crisis that forced many residents to flee their home. Security personnel have now been deployed to the community as police reassures displaced residents of their safety and vows to bring those behind the violence to justice. ADBN's correspondent, Favor Osazua, reports.
For months, fear has overshadowed daily life in Iyanomo Community, Ikpobaoka local government area of Edo State, following a leadership dispute that turned violent, leaving properties destroyed and forcing many residents to abandon their homes. Determined to restore normalcy, the Edo State Police Command deployed a reinforcement team to the community, where officers conducted a show of force to reassure residents and prevent further violence. Police Public Relations Officer Adbn Ikoidem said the intervention followed reports of renewed attacks, stressing that security personnel would remain in the community until lasting peace is achieved.
This intervention, as you can see, is not just the Nigeria Police Force alone. We also have the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps in our midst. They have been here with the police, we've been here on ground, and it's not just a temporary show of force. And the apprehension of the perpetrators of these violent attacks. This intervention is being complemented with the investigating team that is have already kickstarted the investigating the crimes, these violent crimes happening in this community, and the apprehension of these perpetrators.
Residents traced the crisis to a dispute over the ordinary stew, claiming disagreement over secession triggered the unrest. They also commend the police and government authorities for intervening.
I can speak to incident that happened on the 13th of January 2026, when the whole problem now escalated. The issue of Ojon Were, that one is already subsisting in court. It should not be dambled with. They invaded the community with guns and all sorts of assaulted weapons. Drove people away. Even that day I was assaulted, dragged to police station in Benin with about 4 of my people. So the following day we were granted bail when the police now heard the fact.
That one is a POP man. It comes to my and write a quotation. So now I say, okay, no problem, I go help you. May I buy the drugs come. As me and I yours come, me just enter his house. I say, okay, make a quick help and write the quotation. Automatically I sound at the year. Like my brother say, what did they happen? I say, man, I don't really know what did they happen. He say fight, then I say no fight.
With security personnel maintaining visible presence in Iyanamo community, residents are hoping that the intervention does not only restore peace, but also pave the way for families to return home and rebuild their lives. In Edo State, Favor Osazua, ADBN News.
Stakeholders in the fight against HIV/AIDS in Akwa Ibom State have renewed and reviewed the findings of the Antiretroviral Therapy Impact Survey, with a call for stronger collaboration to improve HIV prevention, treatment, and care. The stakeholders also examined the 2024 AIDS Indicator Survey, AIS, summary sheet for the state, as part of efforts to strengthen evidence-based planning and interventions in the fight against HIV and AIDS. ADBN's correspondent Emmanuel Silas reports.
Stakeholders and other development partners have converged in Ikorikpene for the dissemination of the Antiretroviral Therapy Impact Survey's findings. Presenting an overview of this survey, Dr. Olakboshi Olatoregon highlighted key findings from the assessment.
So what we did was that when the eligible individuals were identified, like I said, 50 to 64 years, when they were identified in the community, the first was that they were tested in that community, doing the regular HIV testing using national algorithm. When they get to the satellite lab, they do what we call HIV confirmation tests in the lab. After that, just to be double sure, we do what we call genius testing.
Also featured at the event was a presentation by the lead epidemiologist, Dr. Ebon Okon, on the 2024 AIDS Indicator Survey summary sheet.
Of the 2,910 eligible households, 97.0% completed household interview. Among 5,705 eligible adults, you can see that we have 3,205 women and 2,500 men.
The Akwa Ibom State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Ekem Emmanuel, reaffirmed the state government's commitment to strengthening the health sector and supporting programs aimed at providing the well-being of residents.
In 2018, only 37,000 persons with HIV within the states were on treatment. Today, The survey speaks to the fact that at least 159,000 persons are on treatment. That is progress. People in the population just because they have HIV.
The stakeholders at the event emphasized the need to reduce stigma and discrimination against people living with HIV.
The state, we are very committed to closing these gaps, and I have huge confidence that we'll use the result of this survey to intensify our efforts in expanding.
The findings of this survey provide valuable evidence that will guide policy decisions, strengthen HIV response, and also help ensure that resources are directed where they are most needed.
Other stakeholders called for sustained investment in HIV testing.
I want to appeal that as we look at the findings, the best way to appreciate the giant strides that Akwa Ibom,
the government of Akwa Ibom State, to ensure that the findings of this data, of this survey, is appropriately used.
The dissemination meeting ended with a renewed commitment by the stakeholders to use the findings of the antiretroviral therapy to strengthen intervention across Akwa Ibom states. Emmanuel Silas, ADBN News.
You're watching ADBN News at 7. Stay with us for more news stories from the business desk, the foreign scenes, entertainment, and the world of sports. All to come after the break. Welcome back to ADBN News at 7. Now the rest of the news. The federal government has launched Power Force, a training program to produce 5,000 certified smart meter installers under the Presidential Metering Initiative, aimed at accelerating the rollout of 7 million electricity meters nationwide. Speaking at the launch in Abuja, Minister of Power Joseph Tegbe said the initiative would strengthen Nigeria's metering workforce, create jobs for young Nigerians, and support ongoing power sector reforms. The 3-week training, which attracted nearly 220,000 applications, will expand to centers across the 6 geopolitical zone, with successful participants to receive certification from the Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency. Dangote Petroleum Refinery has secured $2.5 billion in private investments to fund expansion plans, including increasing refinery capacity and extending operations into East Africa. The company said the funding, described as one of Africa's largest disclosed private investments, would support plans to boost refineries' capacity from 650,000 to 1.4 million barrels per day. Founder Alhaji Aliko Dangote says the investment would help reduce Africa's reliance on imported refined products and strengthen the continent's energy security. Residents of Ubwai community in Ahoda West local government area of Rivers State staged a peaceful protest demanding that the Total's Energy fulfills its corporate social responsibility commitments and long-standing development agreements. Carrying placards with various inscriptions, the protesters marched through key parts of the community, insisting that years of oil exploration should translate into improved infrastructure, employment opportunities, and environmental remediation. Community leaders, including elder statesmen, youth representatives, and paramount ruler of Obaramu community, Chief Nathan Ogechi, described the demonstration as a peaceful call for accountability and renewed partnership with the oil company.
The road was completely okay. When they entered, they enjoyed the road. When they started their operation, along the line, all the road that they use to their various places within UBA and within where they operate, there is nothing to write about as we speak with you. Our people are these loving people, and we are ready to engage with them whenever they are ready. But for them to have given us a condition that if we don't live here, they will not dialogue. No, they should stay in the office, so we will stay here. Yeah. We will see who will be at loss at the end of it. Who be a mechanic? Yeah. Project and the one we are presenting to them that we have all agreed be signed, and the one that's already signed, implemented, and the one is yet to be signed and implemented, so that everybody will be at peace. While they are busy doing their work, we are also distribute the benefit.
High Commissioner Designate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to the Republic of India, His Excellency Ambassador Saidu Dahiru Mohammed, has safely arrived in New Delhi to commence his diplomatic assignment. Upon arrival at the Indira Gandhi International Airport, His Excellency was warmly received by officials of the High Commission of Nigeria in New Delhi, representatives of the Ministry of External Affairs of the Republic of India, members of the Nigerian community in India, and a number of African heads of mission accredited to India. The warm reception underscores the enduring cordial relationship and strategic partnership between Nigeria and India. Wishes on a successful tenure for His Excellency were also underscored as he works to further strengthen the long-standing ties between both countries. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has warned that the control and exploitation of natural resources are fueling conflicts, calling for an end to the plundering of resource-rich communities. Addressing the UN's Security Council, Guterres urged governments to ensure countries and local communities benefit directly from their natural resources through stronger governance and transparent regulations. DR Congo's Foreign Minister, Theresa Kanyikwamba Wagner, said her country is committed to turning its natural resources into a driver of development, stability, and shared prosperity. Iran has halted 3 oil tankers from passing through the Strait of Hormuz as hostility with the United States intensify, raising fresh concerns over global oil supplies. This development comes after 12 consecutive nights of U.S. strikes on Iranian targets. Tehran has vowed a stronger response, while the Revolutionary Guard released footage it claims shows missiles and drone attacks on U.S. bases in Jordan. Shipping through the Strait of Hormuz and Bab el-Mandeb Strait has also been disrupted, with renewed security threats increasing tensions across key global oil trade routes. Nigeria's Super Falcons defeated Tanzania 2-1 in an international friendly on Thursday, rounding off their preparations for the 2026 Women's African Cup of Nations in Morocco on a winning note. Captain Rashidat Ajibade gave the 10-time African champions the lead in the first half, but Tanzania responded before the break to restore parity. With the match seemingly headed for a draw, Esther Okoronkwo struck late to hand Nigeria a 2-1 victory in the final test before the Continental Championships. The friendly provided head coach Justin Madugu with another opportunity to assess his squad, fine-tune tactics, and build cohesion ahead of Nigeria's opening match at the tournament. Nigeria would now shift attention to the group stage of the 2026 WAFCON with their first game against Malawi on Tuesday. Still in sports, the 2026 Commonwealth Games were officially declared open on Thursday night with a spectacular opening ceremony that celebrated Scotland's rich heritage, cutting-edge technology, and cultural diversity. Team Nigeria proudly marched into the arena in an eye-catching green and white attire, emerging as one of the standout delegations during the colorful parade of nations. The Nigerian contingent received warm applause from spectators as the athletes confidently showcased their elegant designed outfits, reflecting the country's national colors and vibrant identity. His Majesty King Charles III later declared the 23rd Commonwealth Games officially open, welcoming athletes and officials to Glasgow, while encouraging the Commonwealth family to celebrate friendship, excellence, and a shared commitment to a better future through sport. Nigeria is represented by a 74-member athlete contingent, competing across 10 sports during the Games. Nigeria will host the 48th CAF Ordinary General Assembly in Abuja on November 21, bringing together football leaders from the Confederation of African Football's 54-member associations. CAF President Patrice Motsepe described Nigeria as a proud football nation, saying the decision reflects the country's important role in the growth and development of African football. The annual General Assembly is CAF's highest decision-making meeting, where member associations deliberate on governance, competitions, and the future of football across the continent. Manchester City have completed the signing of midfielder Elliot Anderson, with the 23-year-old saying he was determined to make the move happen. Anderson joined City from Nottingham Forest after signing a 5-year contract that will keep him at the Etihad Stadium until June 2031. The deal, worth £116 million, was initially set to make Anderson the most expensive British player in history after being agreed while he was representing England at the World Cup. However, the record has since been surpassed by Morgan Rogers, following his £117 million move from Aston Villa to Chelsea. Speaking after completing the transfer, Anderson said there was no hesitation when the opportunity arose to join one of the biggest clubs in the world of football. The winner of Big Brother Naija Season 11 would receive a record 160 million naira grand prize, the highest in the show's history. MultiChoice Nigeria said the prize includes 100 million naira cash, a brand new SUV, and other sponsored rewards. The 10-week reality show premieres on July 26. The new season, which will begin on July 26, would air on African Magic channels with 24-hour coverage available on DSTV, GoTV, and streaming platforms. Ebuka Obi Uchendu returns as host. And that's it on ADBN TV News. Remember to watch us live on DSTV channel 258, on Star Times channel 140, Avo TV app, Limex World TV app, and Niger TV app. For more stories, visit our website on www.adbntv.com. You can also watch us live from every part of the world by logging on to www. I am Beto Brian. Thanking you for watching. Good morning.
It doesn't take a pandemic or an epidemic to know that clean hands save lives. Hand washing is essential anytime, anywhere to protect your health. So keep washing your hands, not just when they're dirty, but even on the go. Stay safe, stay healthy, keep your hands clean.
Stakeholders and other development partners have converged in Ikot-Ekpene for dissemination of the antiretroviral therapy impact survey findings. Presenting an overview of the survey, Dr. Olakboshi Olatoregon highlighted key findings from the assessment.
So what we did was that when the eligible individuals were identified, like I said, 15 to 64 years, when they were identified in the community, the first was that they were tested in that community, doing the regular HIV testing using national algorithm. When they get to the satellite lab, they do what we call HIV confirmation tests in the lab. After that, just to be double sure, we do what we call genius testing.
Also featured at the event was a presentation by the lead epidemiologist, Dr. Ebon Okon, on the 2024 AIDS Indicator Survey summary sheet.
Of the 2,910 eligible households, 97.0% completed household interview. Among 5,705 eligible adults, you can see that we have 3,205 women and 2,500 men.
The Akwa Ibom State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Ekem Emmanuel, reaffirmed the state government's commitment to strengthening the health sector and supporting programs aimed at providing the well-being of residents.
In 2018, only 37,000 persons with HIV within the states were on treatment. Today, the survey speaks to the fact that at least 159,000 persons are on treatment. That is progress. While we would not eliminate people in the population just because they have HIV.
The stakeholders at the event emphasized the need to reduce stigma and discrimination against people living with HIV.
The state, we are very committed to closing these gaps, and I have huge confidence that we'll use the result of this survey to intensify our efforts in expanding.
The findings of this survey provide valuable evidence that will guide policy decisions, strengthen HIV response, and also help ensure that resources are directed where they are most needed.
Other stakeholders called for sustained investment in HIV testing.
I want to appeal that as we look at the findings, the best way to appreciate the giant strides that Akwa Ibom,
the government of Akwa Ibom State, to ensure that the findings of this data, of this survey, is appropriately used.
The dissemination meeting ended with a renewed commitment by the stakeholders to use the findings of the antiretroviral therapy to strengthen intervention across Akwa Ibom State. Emmanuel Silas, Adbn News.
Every day, decisions are made, policies are announced, challenges emerge, and lives are changed. But beyond the headlines, beyond the politics, beyond the noise, are the conversations that matter. On Softline, Nigeria's leading voices unpack the issues shaping our future, from governance to business, education, healthcare, technology, security, and the economy. Real conversations, expert insights, solutions that move the nation forward. Because understanding today's decisions shapes tomorrow's opportunities. Now airing 4 p.m. every weekday and Saturdays. Softline, where informed decisions begin.
Kingsley Emu said Governor Sheriff Oborwori's government has constructed and rehabilitated over 2,600 kilometers of roads and more than 20 bridges, opening up rural communities, reducing transportation costs, and connecting economic corridors across the state. One of Delta's biggest competitive advantage is the Delta's Special Economic Zone, which offers investors access to some of the cheapest and most reliable power supply in Nigeria.
Industries to strive, light industries in particular, so ceramics,
you name them, that can function in those environments. So government has created an enabling environment which is supposed to be government responsibility. Now it is time to speak up to the world, to invite the world to see the kinds of potentials and strengths that we have. So all of these strengths will translate as a build-up to this. His Excellency and our team has been all over in the world in the last 3 years, visiting China, visiting Brazil.
AMU disclosed that the state already operates an independent power infrastructure, supplying about 8.5 megawatts of electricity to governments, facilities, and public institutions, while ongoing electricity sector reforms will further expand access to affordable power for industries. He also highlighted Delta's strategic maritime advantages, noting that the state boasts of 4 seaports, 2 airports, and a 163-kilometer Atlantic coastline, making it one of Nigeria's most strategically located investment destinations. According to him, the administration intends to unlock the vast economic opportunities within the blue economy by promoting aquaculture, commercial fishing, fish feed production, cold chain logistics, seafood processing, and maritime transportation.
We have the potentials to be a fish basket of not only South, but of Nigeria, and we're heading in that direction. And we also, if you look at solid mineral and mining, we have kaolin, we have lignite, we have coal, we have silica. Silica is found practically everywhere. Coal is already being in production in the Kuzu Obonkwa axis, oil infrastructure, palm oil infrastructure, and running about 3,000 hectares of land. There are several other people.
He expressed confidence that the summit will mark a turning point in Delta's economic transformation by attracting investment capable of deepening industrialization, expanding exports, and creating employment for the state's youthful population. Charles Kosipre, Adbn News, Asaba.
Welcome to the Niger Delta, a region of incredible beauty and stark contrast. From its breathtaking landscapes to its rich cultural heritage, this is a place where history and modernity collide. But beneath this serene surface lies a story of struggle and resilience. The Niger Delta is the lifeblood of Nigeria's economy, home to vast oil reserves that fuel the nation, yet it is a land where the people fight for their share of the wealth. Join us on the program Niger Delta Today as we explore the heart of the Niger Delta, discover the vibrant cultures, the struggles for environmental justice, and the stories of the people who call this place home. This is the Niger Delta, a land of contrast, a story of resilience, a journey of hope. Don't miss our exclusive series, Niger Delta Today, every day at 12 noon, only on Adbn TV. Witness the untold stories, experience the journey, be part of the change.
For months, fear has overshadowed daily life in Iyanomo community, Ikobaoka local government area of Edo State, following a leadership dispute that turned violent, leaving properties destroyed and forcing many residents to abandon their homes. Determined to restore normalcy, the Edo State Police Command deployed a reinforcement team to the community, where officers conducted a show of force to reassure residents and prevent further violence. Police Public Relations Officer ASP Eno Ikoidem said the intervention followed reports of renewed attacks, stressing that security personnel would remain in the community until lasting peace is achieved.
This intervention, as you can see, is not just the Nigeria Police Force alone. We also have the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps in our midst. They have been here with the police, we've been here on ground, and it's not just a temporary show of force. And the apprehension of the perpetrators of these violent attacks. This intervention is being complemented with the investigating team that is have already kickstarted the investigating the crimes, these violent crimes happening in this community, and the apprehension of these perpetrators.
Residents traced the crisis to a dispute over the ordinary stew, claiming disagreement over secession triggered the unrest. They also commend the police and government authorities for intervening.
I can speak to incident that happened on the 13th of January 2026 when the whole problem now escalated. The issue about John Were, that one is already subsisting in court. It should not be dambled with. They invaded the community with guns and all sorts of assaulted weapons. Drove people away. Even that day I was assaulted, dragged to police station in Benin with about 4 of my people. So the following day we were granted bail when the police now heard the facts.
That one in a POP man. It comes in my pan write quotation. So now I say okay, no problem. I go help you. May I buy the drugs come. As me and I yours come, me use the enter his house. I say okay, make a quick help write the quotation. Automatically now sound at the year. Like my brother can say, what did they happen? I say, man, I don't really know what did they happen. He say fight, then I say no fight.
With security personnel maintaining visible presence in Iyanamo community, residents are hoping that the intervention does not only restore peace, but also pave the way for families to return home and rebuild their lives. In Edo State, Favor Osazua, ADBN News.
The global business is never static. Watch the market report on ADBN TV for business information, latest happening business deals, government economic policies, stock, crude oil and commodity trading, financial upstick and downstick, and the world of organized private sector. The market report showing on ADBN TV 1 to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday. The market report bringing you up to speed in the business world.
The project under the Agro-Climatic Resilience in Semi-Arid Landscape Program combines erosion control, flood mitigation, and road construction. Commissioner for Environment says it will reclaim degraded land, improve access, and protect communities long affected by flooding and gully erosion.
This is promise made, promise kept. And it makes sure they cut across all the 3 territorial zone. And you could see, and it's not only this project alone. It comes with an empowerment program. How do I mean that? What's called Community Reforming Fund, where the group or the community that have along the catchment area, they group them into numbers, I think between 10 and 15, and they give each group $25,000. As I speak with you now, $2 million has been released to community for a empowerment program.
Executive Chairman of Amba Local Government Area, Engineer Damu Yahya Mohammed, described the project as the largest infrastructure intervention in the area's history, saying it has improved movement and enhanced residents' quality of life.
I was living on this same street, not too, I think some blocks away from here. I was trekking home in some, I think 2 or 3 years ago. And I know what I was doing with the youth here. We know how much we were contributing to see that motorcycle could even access this area. But today, I think it's we have mini Abuja in Ankpa.
Yes. Community leaders and residents say the project has transformed a once flood-prone and inaccessible community, restoring access and creating new economic opportunities.
We are enjoying the dividends of democracy in Olubojo by the grace of God. So I want to appreciate the chairman for even not, though when they came, they want some people to boycott the chairman, but by the grace of God, he was there, he stand on his feet so that everything will be done. You know, as a chairman, you have to follow them one after the other, and he did follow them. Then to the state government, we thank God. We thank them for all they have done.
The Amba inspection marked the final stop of the media tour in Kogi State with a brief visit to Prince Abubakar Audi University, Ayimba, to inspect TEPFON projects. Throughout the tour, journalists visited road, healthcare, education, and environmental projects, while residents appealed for drainage and erosion control works to be extended to neighboring communities.
This is all thanks to the FAC allocation that has been increased due to the removal of fuel subsidy. We are here live in Yaba West local government of Kogi State. I am Princess, aka reporting for Adbn News.
Every second, a story breaks.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has formally presented the 2026 appropriation bill to the National Assembly.
The nation reacts. The world shifts. History moves in real time. Before the noise, before the opinions. One screen keeps you connected. From the headlines shaking the nation to the stories everyone talks about tomorrow. Stream anytime, anywhere. When the story matters, you know where to turn. ADBN. A part of you.
Hello, good morning, and a warm welcome to ADBN's flagship program, Morning Express. My name is Chijioke Okafo. It is the end of yet another week with news coming in from the presidency as we hear that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the recruitment of 28,000 new personnel and has also approved 4 new army divisions in the country. This and many more will form part of our discussions on the program this morning. But I'm not alone. Joining me is my colleague and co-host, Cynthia. Very good morning to you, Cynthia.
Good morning.
Welcome back to the program as well.
Thank you. Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to today's Morning's Express.
Well, let's take a quick break. When we return, we'll head straight to the front pages to get insight into this story and many more developing stories. Stay with us. You're welcome back to Morning Express. Without much ado, let's head straight to the front pages, starting off with the Daily Trust newspaper. I'll take the headline story on the Daily Trust. Transport fares rise as petrol hits 1,400 naira per litre. I'll take that again. Transport fares rise as petrol hits 1,400 naira per litre. Now, the story relating to the earlier directive by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the recruitment of 28,000 personnel is seen there right beneath the masthead. Tinubu approves recruitment of 28,000 personnel, 4 new army divisions. Kidnappers of Oyo school children, teachers bag life sentence. I have treated 15 patients, suspected fake doctor states. And walking our way down, you'd find opposition lawmakers protest as reps pass state police bill. Bandits kill 23 farmers, others in Zamfara state. NSIB launches probe as Enugu airplane skids off Benin runway. Army launches manhunt for soldiers selling uniforms to terrorists. Now, of course, a picture of prominence here captures commuters waiting to board vehicles amidst rising transportation costs in Abuja and in Lagos. These are the stories splashed on the Daily Trust.
Away from the Daily Trust newspaper this morning onto the Daily Times newspaper, the story making headlines says financial probes, CBN, NNPCL, 40 other MDAs risk Senate sanction for shunning invitation. And just above it, we have IGP declares war on Benue killers, rolls out 14-day crackdown in 14 flashpoints. Also, Dangote Refinery raises $2.5 billion in landmark private placement. Going underneath the story making headlines, just to the left-hand side of the newspaper, Tinubu expands army, 4 new divisions, 28,000 troops to tame insecurity. And on the rider, we have court sentences 3 to life imprisonment over Oyo school abduction. And that's it on the Daily Times newspaper.
Well, moving away from the Daily Times newspaper, let's pick up the next paper of the lineup, the Guardian newspaper, which has a story relating to the State Police Bill, the passage of the State Police Bill, and of course, opposition lawmakers protesting over it. But before we get to that, let's start off with the primary decay to from primary decay to tertiary distress. Southeast in throes of tertiary healthcare infrastructure crisis. Well, this is a very big story on the Guardian newspaper, and it's continued on news pages 4 and 6 of the paper. Presidency slams Atiku over U.S. anti-Tinubu lobbying. 2027 election, Northeast political bloc backs Tinubu's second-term bid. Wike-led PDP reclaims Oyo Secretariat, dismisses factional claims. Let's see some more feature stories on the Guardian newspaper. House approved State Police Bill amid walkout, includes guardrails. 2027, CSOs flag gaps as INEC assures 2023 technical glitches fixed. Proposed pension hike will cause job loss, business cuts, OPSN warns. DSS seeks stiffer penalties for convicted abductors of Orire teachers and pupils. Tinubu expands Nigerian Army divisions personnel capacity by 28,000. Passengers panic as Enugu aircraft skids off runway at Benin Airport. Now, these are the stories prominently featured on the front page of the Guardian newspaper.
Away from the Guardian onto the Nation newspaper this morning, the story of prominence says presidency Obasanjo hits Atiku for U.S. adventure disloyalty. I repeat, presidency Obasanjo hits Atiku for U.S. adventure disloyalty. Petition to Trump undermines Nigeria's sovereignty. Ex-president, he plotted against me. And just above the story of prominence, we'll have 3 Ansaru terrorists linked to Orire abductions get life jail. 3 Ansaru terrorists linked to Orire abductions get life jail. And just above it, there's a kicker there that says, Oshun 2026. AMBO, I ended half salary payment as finance commissioner. SDP warns against hijack of party structure. Group rallies electorate against peaceful election. Going underneath, the story making headlines will have Tinubu expands army to 12 divisions, OK's hiring of 28,000. Ilorin, Benin, Jalingo, Makurdi to host new military formations. And the story on the right says, panelists at Jakonde lecture seek credible polls. Nigerian killed in South Africa. And there is a picture of prominence there that has a majority of Northeast leaders endorsing President Tinubu for a re-election. He's there together with some state governors, which includes the governor of Borno State and some others. And that's it on the story making headlines. Oh, sorry, just above of it, just above the story making headlines, we'll have House of Reps passes State Police Bill. House of Reps passes State Police Bill. Alia Yusuf upbeat. Private sector gets 2.2 trillion naira facility in 30 days. Says the Central Bank of Nigeria. UBA is Nigeria's best ESG. Retail bank says Euro money. 26,961 to get vocational training. And that's it on the Nation newspaper.
Let's move on to the Nigerian Tribune newspaper with the DSS, we hear, seeking stronger penalties for convicted abductors of Orire teachers and pupils. I'll start off with that story right above the masthead. Let's start off with the story above the masthead before we get to the major headline. 3 Orire kidnappers plead guilty, sentenced to life imprisonment. This story is continued on news page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune. Page 5, I beg your pardon. Now, right next to that, OBJ tackles Oshoba on 2003 election, denies deceiving AD governors. Says ex-Ogun governor unaware of several political undercurrents. Now, working our way down just beneath the masthead, Tinubu approves expansion of Nigerian Army to 12 divisions. OK's recruitment of 28,000 personnel to strengthen national security. To the right side of the Nigerian Tribune, ADC to Tinubu, Trump's later won't save you from defeat. APC chieftain warned me not to contest against Tinubu in 2027, Makinde says. 311 reps support passage of state police bill as 15 lawmakers differ. Mixed reactions over redistribution pattern as Southwest leads VAT contributions. At Euromoney Awards, UBA named Nigeria's best ESG retail bank. And in health, scientists have revealed that morning coffee protects body from aging. On the rider, NSIB begins investigation into Enugu air mishap at Benin Airport. All passengers safely disembarked, says the airline. Police confirm 15 dead as bandits attack Zamfara community. Now, right above those two stories, you'd find the plane that skidded off the runway at Benin Airport, belonging to Enugu Air. Well, these are the many stories prominently featured on the Nigerian Tribune.
Away from the Nigerian Tribune this morning, another story that is also popular, making headlines on the Daily Sun newspaper this morning, says Orire kidnapping. DSS insists on death penalty. Rejects life jail handed to 3 convicts. And just above it, we have controversy as reps pass state police bill with voice vote. Minority leader, others stage walkout. And on top of that, we have Tinubu approves expansion of army divisions to 12, recruitment of 28,000 personnel. And going under the story making the headlines, we equally have, as a kicker, 2027, Guild of Editors task media, INEC on credible elections. Sanwo-Olu, others pay tribute to Jakonde. Dangote Refinery raises $2.5 billion in Africa's biggest private equity placement. IMF to central banks tighten AI oversight to safeguard financial stability. Once unchecked AI could amplify market shocks and cyber risks. IGP unveils 14-day operations against criminals in Benue. And that's it on the Daily Sun newspaper.
In keeping with more news reports, let's skip over to the Vanguard newspaper with a headline story stating, Christian killings, Nigeria hiring lobbyists to mask insecurity, Senator Ted Cruz says. Officials have created environments that facilitates violence against Christians, adds that Nigerian officials waged public relations campaign against critics. Tinubu's government deceiving Nigerians over Trump's later, Timmy Frank alleges. Well, if you are interested in this story, it's found on news page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. Right above the masthead, higher fuel, transport, food prices on the way as crude oil hits $100 per barrel. Tinubu OK's expansion of army divisions from 8 to 12. 2027, credible polls Foundation for Legitimate Governance, says the NGE. And working our way down some more stories of Obasanjo to Oshoba. I didn't deceive AD leaders in 2003. Court sentences 3 to life imprisonment over Orire school kidnapping. DSS to appeal judgment says sentence not commensurate with crimes committed. On the rider, life expectancy challenge, why Nigerians are dying too soon, according to experts. What life expectancy really means and why it is now low. Economic pressure, worsening situation, the rise of chronic diseases, a health system under pressure. And elsewhere, Dangote Refinery raises $2.5 billion in Africa's biggest private placement. State police bill. Reps minority caucus walk out of plenary over alleged breach of due process. 311 reps vote to pass bill. Atiku, CUPP to Tinubu, you've no business building 22.15 billion naira policies for monarchs. Well, these are the stories prominently featured on the Vanguard.
Away from the Vanguard, national security. Tinubu okays expansion of Nigerian army to 12 divisions, recruitment of 28,000 men. Court sentences terrorists linked to Orire school children abduction to life imprisonment. Bandits raid 11 Zamfara communities, kill 23, abduct over 40. Death sentence for convicted convicts shouldn't be negotiable, says Shitu. And just above that news, we have Senate threatens arrest warrants for 42 MDAs over invitation snub. Akpabio apologizes to Oshomole over remarks. Lateef Jokonde Memorial Lecture. Responsible media, transparent INEC informed voters, key to credible polls, says Akaine and NGE. Also, nothing new in present challenges PDP is facing, says Turaki. Says party has seen all seasons. Also, Obi Kwankwanso ticket will salvage Nigeria, says Galadima. INEC, about 62 million Nigerians who collected PVCs didn't vote during the 2023 election. And going over on top of that same news, we have Dangote Refinery completes landmark $2.5 billion private equity placement. And just above it, we equally have OPS rejects Pencom's proposed increase in pension contributions, says it's Greek gift to workers. Coming under the news of prominence, we have, just by the right of same newspaper, at the sidebar to the right, Dev Reporting selects New Telegraph's correspondent, 22 others for Osun Governance Reporting Project. Also, federal government begins admission into NCE Agric programs without UTME. Borno invests over 1 billion naira in Mega Jam CBT Center. And underneath the picture of prominence there we have as a kicker, State Police, Minority Caucus stages walkout as reps pass Tinubu's bill. I take it again. Minority Caucus stages walkout as reps pass Tinubu's bill. Accuses Speaker of constitutional violation. Abbas, 311 voted, 276 physically, 35 virtually. When 10th House listened to private sector for a stronger economy. Also, as a kicker, we have Anambra Guba poll. We know what happened. We don't want a repeat, says the APC. They equally say party must deliver Anambra for Tinubu in 2027. APC must speak with one voice to win polls, says Ben Nwonye, Ukachukwu, Ejidike Nwafo, others back reconciliation efforts. And the news on the rider has it as living near bus stop roads may raise Parkinson's risk, says study. I take it again, living near busy roads may raise Parkinson's risk, says study. And that's it on the New Telegraph this morning.
Let's speak of the Nigerian News Direct. Moving on very quickly with the headline story on insecurity. Tinubu restructures Army Command structure, approves creation of 4 new divisions, 28,000 additional troops. Some more stories on the Nigerian News Direct. Enugu aircraft crash lands in Benin City as passengers, crew survive unharmed. Euro Money Awards, UBA named Nigeria's best ESG retail bank. 75 senators back Ijebu-Remo state creation proposal. And seeing some more stories, 3, above the masthead, Dangote Petroleum Refinery raises $2.5 billion in private equity placement. Right next to that, Trump later. You are undermining Nigeria's sovereignty with U.S. petition, presidency replies Atiku. And lastly, Adeleke suspends NURTW activities as Algon unveiled caretaker committees. These are the stories on the Nigerian News Direct.
Away from the Nigerian News Direct onto the Punch newspaper this morning, the story of prominence has it, walkout rocks House as state police bill passes. I take it again, walkout rocks House as state police bill passes. Protest erupts over controversial House vote. House Minority Caucus insists on rethink of state police bill. Opposition challenges state police funding plan and process. And just above this news of prominence, we equally have Tinubu expands army to 12 divisions, approves 28,000 recruits. And just above it, we have, as a kicker, 2003 poll, Obasanjo faults Oshoba, accuses Atiku of impeachment plot. Going on to the news of prominence, at the sidebar, it says, employers reject federal government's pension contribution hike. Death toll in Zamfara farmers' attack rises to 23. And under the picture of prominence, we have Enugu Air incident forces Benin airport shut down, NSIB begins probe. Let me take that again. Enugu Air incident forces Benin airport shut down, NSIB begins probe. And that's the march on the Punch newspaper.
National Assembly under fire for allocating 22.15 billion naira, 8 billion naira to renovate palaces, mosques, churches. Atiku, CUPP raised the alarm, accused federal government, National Assembly of misplacing priority, describing the action as blank check for corruption. 780 million naira inserted for church in my constituency aimed at curbing youthful vices, says Deputy Speaker Benjamin Carlo. And right above the headline story, 2027, Trump's later not reflection of realities in Nigeria won't save you, ADC tells Tinubu. Opposition stages walkout as 311 reps pass state police bill. 6 candidates battle for UN Secretary General job. And away from those top stories, picture of prominence here captures Orire abductors who have gotten a life sentence after pleading guilty. Well, this story is continued on news page 2 of the Disclosure News. While the DSS also kicks against this, demanding a death sentence and is set to appeal the judgment. On insecurity, Tinubu expands army to 12 divisions, directs recruitment of 28,000 new troops. No casualties as Enugu aircraft suffers runway incursion, says management. Reporting Tinubu to Trump, Atiku undermining Nigeria's sovereignty, dignity, federal government warns. These are the many stories on the Disclosure News. Well, these are the stories that will inform and guide our discussion and analysis on the program this morning. We'll take a break. When we return, we hope to have our first guest of the day to join us for in-depth discussion on the program. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Niger Delta, a region of incredible beauty and stark contrast. From its breathtaking landscapes to its rich cultural heritage, this is a place where history and modernity collide. But beneath this serene surface lies a story of struggle and resilience. The Niger Delta is the lifeblood of Nigeria's economy, home to vast oil reserves that fuel the nation, yet it is a land where the people fight for their share of the wealth. Join us on the program Niger Delta Today as we explore the heart of the Niger Delta, discover the vibrant cultures, the struggles for environmental justice, and the stories of the people who call this place home. This is the Niger Delta, a land of contrast, a story of resilience, a journey of hope. Don't miss our exclusive series, Niger Delta Today, every day at 12 noon, only on Adbn TV. Witness the untold stories, experience the journey, be part of the change.
Every day, across forests, highways, towns, and villages, brave men and women stand watch so that Nigeria can sleep. They leave their families behind, confront danger head-on, and make sacrifices many of us will never see. Yet, the enemies of our nation continue their assault. They target our children. They murder innocent citizens. They force families from their homes. They turn thriving communities into places of fear and uncertainty. Their goal is simple: to break our spirit, divide our people, and steal the future of our nation. But Nigeria is stronger than terror. As we demand greater accountability, stronger security measures, and more effective action from those entrusted with our safety, we must also play our part. Support our security forces. Salute their gallantry. Stand with those who stand for us. If you see something, say something. Let us be our brother's keeper. We must never surrender to fear, despair, or hopelessness. This is not the time for division, not by tribe, not by religion, not by region, not by political party. Because terror recognizes no ethnicity, no faith, and no ideology. Its enemy is all of us. And together, united as one people, we can defeat it. For our children, for our communities, for our future, for Nigeria. Join the movement. Stand for our country. Stand for one another. Hashtag Unite Against Terror.
You're welcome back to Morning Express. Now let's usher in our first guest of the day, Mr. Sam Otoye, to the program. Mr. Sam is a journalist, a researcher, and also a public affairs commentator. Very good morning to you, Mr. Sam. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
All right, so let's head straight to the first story this morning. In the fight against insecurity and in ensuring that Nigeria remains as one sovereign nation, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has bolstered the activity of the armed forces, particularly the Nigerian army, by approving the recruitment of about 28,000 new personnel, while also ensuring that divisions in the country move up from 8 to 12 by means of approving 4 new army divisions. How is this story coming to you this morning, especially at a time when the clamor for more boots on ground, the clamor for better military structure is at the fore?
Thank you so much, Chijioke. The news is very welcome. In fact, it's one of the things that has called Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on a very high scale. Because if you are looking at the level of insecurity in this country, and he's coming out with this kind of initiative, that means he's ready to checkmate insecurity. In as much as he has done a very wonderful thing by expanding the army commander sphere, something is not right, as I've observed in the division, in the expansion. What I've observed that may, begin to raise some dust again. You see, when we do some of these things, I think we need to really factor in a lot of issues, do the public relations angle, to it, and then get together, a team that will really thoroughly look at it and pick some holes and fill up those holes before you come out with such initiatives and decisions. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this not because I'm an Igbo man from Imo State. I'm saying this because of the national clamor for equity and fair play, and also the long call against marginalization of the Igbos, the Southeasterners. If you look at the expansion, 82 division is for 5 states of the Southeast: Imo, Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, and what was the name of that one now? Yes, Imo, Abia, Ebonyi, Anambra, and all the 5 states. They have only one, and that is the only region that has that kind of thing. And Southeast are shouting and crying over marginalization. I had thought that the government would have factored in that. We have, see, Southeast has Obinze, a military setup that has been there for many years. And you know that there is high level of, threat in Southeast, particularly in Ebonyi State, in Abia, and now the president has come out with a very good initiative, and he is not making it to be only in person, right? So what I'm saying this morning is that the president should please look at the Southeast and create upgrade.
Hello, Mr. Sam.
To a full command.
Hello, Mr. Sam. Are you with us? I'm afraid your connection is a little bit strained, and we can barely hear you or make out the words that you're saying. But let's see if we can reconnect or rejoin you so that the connection will be, and your audio will also be clearer. But before we have Mr. Sam rejoin, let's take a look at the divisions currently, spread across the country, 12 of them in number. Mr. Sam had raised concerns about the 82 division in Enugu 7, Enugu, Anambra, Imo, Abia, as well as Ebonyi State, which, according to him, is a lot of strain on the southeast. Now let's see the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, if we can have that paper and have the division section zoomed in to see what they look like while we wait for Mr. Sam to rejoin. On the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, right beneath the headline story that states Tinubu approves expansion of Nigerian Army to 12 divisions, you can find the divisions. One division headquarters is in Kaduna and serves for Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, and Jigawa states. 2 division headquarters is in Ibadan, serves for Oyo, Osun, Ekiti, and Ondo states. 3 division headquarters is in Jos, serves for Plateau, Bauchi, and Gombe states. 5 division headquarters is in Makurdi, serves for Benue, Nasarawa, and Kogi states. 6 division headquarters is in Port Harcourt and serves for Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and Cross River states, while 7 division headquarters is in Maiduguri and serves for Jos, Borno, and Yobe states. You have the 8 division headquarters in Sokoto, 7 for Sokoto, Kebbi, and Zamfara state. 9 division headquarters in Ilorin, 7 for Kwara and Niger states. 10 division headquarters in Jalingo, 7 for Taraba and Adamawa states. 81 division headquarters in Lagos, 7 for Lagos and Ogun states. 82 division in headquarters in Enugu. I had mentioned it's for the entire southeast states. And the 83 division headquarters in Benin City, 7 for Edo, Delta, and Bayelsa states. And quite interestingly, Cynthia, you can see that 82 division is perhaps the only division headquarters that has the highest number of states it's supposed to cover, which is Anambra, Imo, Abia, Ebonyi, and Enugu, which Enugu, of course, is where it's particularly situated. Do you think that this move by Mr. President to have this expansion is, a step in the right direction at a time when we are seeking for more military presence, more military power in the fight against insurgency in the country?
Well, it's an interesting development, I must say. But then again, you remember a week plus ago, they celebrated the Army's Day. And if I remember correctly, majority of their complaints, if I'm to put it as an order of priority, was as it pertains to better welfare for the military, increased salary, and better ammunition. So I would say, even though this is also a welcome development, but I hope it's going side by side with these prominent complaints of the military personnel who are on field every time to secure Nigeria's boundary. And you know what that means for the Nigerian populace. So I want to believe that it's also going to be side by side with what is actually needed that the military personnel have been complaining about, aside the increased personnel. Because what do you make of having increased personnel when you do not have the right ammunitions or the right infrastructure to tackle the level of insecurity in the country? So I think in my opinion, that...
Well, let's see if Mr. Sam Otonye has rejoined us on the line. Mr. Sam, are you back with us, sir?
Yes, I am. I've been around.
Yes, because your connection is quite poor this morning. But please carry on with your point.
All right. I think I can make my voice louder to see whether I can help. But the point I made earlier, which is very, very important, is that the president has done well by expanding the Army Command, right? It's a very, very good one. We give him support. But you should look into the aspect of the Southeast, which has been a matter on the front burner. Each time anything is done for Nigeria, the Southeast will always put at the back burner. And this is something about it. And look at it, it's very good. One very good thing about the situation is that the Army Commander is close to where is the states where the highest incursion of insecurity is in around the Southeast. It's very important that the president should help and ensure that OPC is updated now. That they think this expansion is still hot, is upgraded to a full-fledged vision so that it take care of possibly and has been a very bad spot of insecurity. So that he has to do and do for Southeast and they will be hard for it. But for what it's done, well, I'm very good. We appreciate it. And then to talk about recruitment of more soldiers, which is very worthwhile. And then since your colleague talking about the welfare.
Mr. Sam, I think we might have to end your connection and try to reconnect again. Let's see if the technical team can disconnect you and reconnect you for better connectivity. But we'll still come back to you because we really want to get your take on this very pertinent, important national issue. Well, coming back to you, Cynthia, you were raising points about remuneration issues and so many other things that have been raised during the Army Day celebration or during the Army Week that had held a couple of weeks ago. But all of these things will certainly come into place. The most important thing right now is that there has been an expansion and that there has been an approval of 28,000 new personnel, which is more boots on ground. Apart from the 1,000 more, what is it called now? Forest rangers that Mr. President had approved during the Orire abduction. With the 28,000 new recruitment, the Nigerian Army is set to have better manpower, more boots on ground, younger and fresher hands, to combat and join in this fight against insurgency. But let me just get your perspective before we reconnect to Mr. Sam. Homar here is on standby and I believe can hear us.
Okay, Chijoke, one thing I will say for sure is I will still mention the fact that it's a good development. But what is the number of population going to do when they do not have the required infrastructure to actually tackle this insecurity? There's this thing about you going on fields to fight a war and you're harmless. It's just like you're going there to commit suicide. So you are saying, I want to believe the government is working in tandem with what you just said because there is no news about that yet. We need better intelligence. We need good infrastructure. We need good salary structure, increased payment. It cannot be overemphasized in as much as the personnel increase is also a good thing. Trust me, we need it all over. But then if these things are not going side by side with all these very pertinent demands of the military, it will just be another level of inconsistency, another level of gap, security gap, that will not encourage them to want to do their jobs. So that is just my take about that. Yes. Okay, Mr. Sam, can you hear us now? I want to believe you're back. Hello, Mr. Sam.
The volume is very low. I think it's coming from your end.
Okay, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, that's
very
good.
Clear. So proceed.
Okay.
Yes.
So can I get on?
Yes, go ahead. Continue from where you stopped.
Okay. Yes, honestly, I am trying to make this important point very seriously because you see, President Tinubu has done well. Honestly, somebody called him this morning. I watched somebody talking about him as calling him as the decentralization commander in chief. You know, the way he's going about, getting a lot of things decentralized, creating development regions and all of it is very wonderful. We'll have to give it to him. But the only thing I'm saying in respect of the expansion of the army command is the aspect of where it affects the southeast. For 82 div in Enugu to take care of the 5 southeastern states, I think we've mentioned that is the highest, in the whole setup. And we are saying that southeast is not on low ranking when it comes to insecurity in Nigeria. Owerri, Imo State, Anambra axis, particularly, is a very hotbed of insecurity. And strategically, the command in Obinze in Imo State is a place that can take care of Imo State and Anambra axis. And it should be upgraded to a full division to help the incursion, to help curb insecurity in the southeast. It is very important. And you know that there's IPOB, in the southeast, which the government has been battling with. So I don't know the criterion or the criteria, so to speak, that the government used in coming out with the divisions. Otherwise, I don't see the reason why Lagos and Ogun, will be having a division. Even Kwara and Niger will be having a division. Meanwhile, there are 5 states of the southeast where insecurity is also very high, is having one division. So this morning, I want to use this opportunity to play with the president, to look at it again and upgrade Obinze. That's done very wonderful for the recruitment of 28,000 soldiers, very well aligned. And from what your colleague Cynthia is her name, said about the welfare, salaries, and equipment, those things must be factored into it so that it will be an all-inclusive affair. That's my take on it.
All right, quite very brilliant point you've raised, Mr. Sam, but we still have some more items in the news to tackle this morning. Staying with security matters, the House of Representatives has passed into law the State Police Bill. Now, 311 reps supported the passage of the State Police Bill, while 15 opposition lawmakers were against it. How is this news coming to you this morning in this long journey of the creation of state police, which a lot of people, analysts, security experts, Nigerians in general have stated would elevate Nigeria's status in this fight against insecurity?
Yeah, thank you so much. If I heard you clearly, what you are talking about the passing of the police bill.
That's correct.
The state police bill, right?
Yes, sir.
And what transpired in the House of Reps.
Exactly, 311 reps supporting.
Even though, some legislators felt offended. They didn't feel offended because they didn't want the bill to be passed. They only felt, the right thing should have been done by going through it, clause by clause, for everybody to be carried along and for everybody to know what, the nitty-gritty of the bill. But be that as it may, I think Nigerians have clamored for it, and here it is. So possibly as we begin to, test run the experiment, so to speak, the bill, on ground, the 15 issues, can still be taken up and handled. But for now, that's okay, and I think that's what Nigerians have longed for. And now that it's here, I don't think we need to have any serious issues with it. The legislators that felt offended, they have that right to feel offended because of, you don't behave as if you're being undemocratic when it comes to democratic issues. since their rule is that you read, those things clause by clause for everybody to make an input. And unfortunately, they didn't do that for whatever reason. I don't know the reason why they were in a haste, to do it the way they did it. But then, whatever be the case, I think Nigerians are happy that the bill has finally been passed. And we'll look forward to the final assent from the president and all of those. That's my take on it. Thank you.
Mr. Sam, still on this state police bill, it said that the minority caucus actually walked out in protest, saying that the legal framework required for the refinement had not been properly put in place. That is not as if they're against the passing of the bill, but what is needed for the legal framework to be properly put in place has not been concluded. And I remember some days ago, a senator was also making a complaint where he was saying that he is in doubt that some states can actually live up to expectation as it pertains to handling the development of the state policing in each state, that some states do not have the financial capacity and some other capacity, maturity capacity to actually handle the state police bill. What do you make of these two complaints?
Thank you so much, Cynthia. I think that matter shouldn't override the national interest of the state policing. I don't think it should. Well, in fact, it doesn't matter how much any state has. If any state wants to go ahead with the state police implementation, it won't take them anything. After they're getting allocation from the federal, it's for the governor and the leadership there to sit down and look at their indices, their expenditure, and factor in the state police situation and find out how they will run it. Honestly, I don't think that point is very cogent at this time. That's the truth. Because no amount of money you give to any state, they should look at their security vote now. You know how much that is in the security vote that nobody knows about, because they say that one is their private enclave, is a private enterprise. So what are they talking about? They should cut from their personal, security vote and make the state police to work. And as a matter of fact, the way the state police is on the heart and mind of Nigerians is that any state that does not do it well is on its own. Because with this state police, all the boundaries of states will be secured. That's what it means. So if you leave your own boundary porous and bandits are coming in and riding roughshod on you, that is your business. The Nigerians have gotten what they've been clamoring for, and that is good for them. So any state that is complaining about not having finances to do all those things, that one is messing after death. They should do something. They should know what to do. That's the truth.
Now, Mr. Sam, we had a guest here on the program a couple of days ago, an elderly man who was talking about the state police bill, or the possibility of the creation of a state police, and he made reference to the NA police in northern Nigeria in the 50s and 60s. Now, his concern was the use of the NA police back then for political witch hunting, which was quite prominent at the time. Now, he had raised these concerns, adding the fact that with more sophisticated weaponry and how advanced the world has become now, it could further, add to the use of the state police for intimidation of political opponents and also for impunity, especially on the part of the state executive. What do you think?
Thank you, Chijoke. I don't know. I didn't hear you very clearly, but what I got from there is that you're talking about the state executive using it against their opponent.
Yes.
Right. That will not stop the situation, the state policing to work. That's the truth. Whatever anybody says about intimidation, harassment, and all of those, from the state executives, I don't think that will stop the implementation of this project. One thing that is certain is that any state governor that is using it against his opponents, the whole world will hear about it.
the media will come up, and drag them. So let's not put that forward for now. Let's start it first and see what we'll get from it. It might not even be the way they think. That's the truth. When we start, we'll see. And when we see, we'll handle. I think that is what we should do for now. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Sam, let's see if we can quickly squeeze in one soldier selling uniforms, allegedly selling uniforms to terrorists in the country. This is not the first time we are hearing or seeing such incidences where either a policeman or military personnel tend to be in bed with terrorists by means of selling arms and ammunition to them, selling military equipment, selling military uniforms, and whatnot to terrorists or bandits or non-state actors. I just want to get your reaction to this. How do we better protect our security agencies from infiltration by certain individual unpatriotic Nigerians who go in under the guise of serving the nation, but are in turn serving their own personal selfish interests by dealing with terrorists?
Yes, okay, thank you so much. I think my first salvo on that matter they are spoken against, and that is what has sealed the situation you're talking about, where the soldiers are doing some, underhand operations, right? So if we start by stoppage of that program, that will be the starting point of it, to get the people that are in the army and the other security agencies right. We must stop that. You see, when you don't pay staff, we discussed that the other day. When you don't pay staff, well, you hire monkeys. So that's another point we'll have to look at. These soldiers that are doing this, the other time, I think last week or last 2 weeks, the Minister of Defense was talking about improved salary of soldiers to 90,000 or something like that. That is too poor. That is definitely, absolutely too poor. They must have to look at their package again. They must have to look at their welfare once again and put things in the right order. You see, you don't pay somebody peanuts and feel the person will be so loyal and so sincere, to do the job. It doesn't work anywhere. Go and find out, go and look at companies that don't pay well and see the nature of frauds going on there, pilferings and all of those. That is exactly, what's happening in the military and possibly other security agencies. So they must look at their welfare, and they must stop the recruitment of repentant Boko Haram program. That must stop. And again, those days when they used to do this thing right, they will get to your village. That's what they used to do. But I don't think those things happen today because they're in a hurry to recruit. The manpower level is very poor, so they are in a hurry to recruit. Those days, before you recruit anybody as a soldier, somebody must get to their village and find out his integrity and find out and know who his parents or her parents are. So we need to go back to that model where there must be people sent to any new recruit village to find out his profile and the profile of his parents. That's very important. So that's my opinion there. Thank you.
To wonder, where do these military personnel or policemen, where do they usually get these uniforms from? Because I believe it's one personnel per uniform. One would really want to wonder, how did they get in contact with these extra uniforms that they have to put it up for sale? I don't know if you want to lend your voice to that.
Yes, Cynthia, I can tell you what happened. You know that ordinary people have these uniforms, all shades of it, the camouflage and all of those. It comes from the high-ranking officers. High-ranking officers, they have this. That thing comes in bundles. You can cut and sew. So I know somebody, a retired army officer. Those things are in his house. In fact, his children and his cousins, you wear them. They cut them and use it and make clothes and make shorts. So that is the way it comes. It comes in rows, and those officers have them. So it might not be that the officers, I'm not saying that the officers give it to these guys to go and sell. No, but then somehow, they have relatives. So those things can come out like that. And even the logistics you are talking about, you never can tell who and who are in the stores where those things are kept. So it could be a deal. It's a deal because money passes hands. You pay for it to be gotten for you, but the same way you pay for guns to be gotten for you. And again, you know that all these soldiers they kill, they take those uniforms from them. When they kill them, they remove them, they strip them of their uniforms, and they sell it too. Those Boko Haram, those insurgents, they sell those things. So that's how that thing is circulating. You think it doesn't come from the blues.
Thank you so much, sir. That has been a very interesting line of thoughts from you, but always a pleasure to speak with you on Morning Express. We wish you the very best of the rest of your day and a happy weekend ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sam. Good to have you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
All right, we've been speaking to Mr. Sam Otoye, the business editor of the news editor of the business newspaper, if I'm correct. He's been talking on national matters in the news. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll also turn our attention to the possibility of Nigeria becoming a $1 trillion economy in the next couple of years. Stay with us. Morning Express continues after the break.
Every day, decisions are made, policies are announced, challenges emerge, and lives are changed. But beyond the headlines, beyond the politics, beyond the noise, are the conversations that matter. On Softline, Nigeria's leading voices unpack the issues shaping our future, from governance to business, education, healthcare, technology, security, and the economy. Real conversations, expert insights, solutions that move the nation forward. Because understanding today's decisions shapes tomorrow's opportunities. Now airing 4 p.m. every weekday and Saturdays. Softline, where informed decisions begin.
It doesn't take a pandemic or an epidemic to know that clean hands save lives. Hand washing is essential anytime, anywhere to protect your health. So keep washing your hands, not just when they're dirty, but even on the go. Stay safe, stay healthy, keep your hands clean.
Across forests, highways, towns, and villages, brave men and women stand watch so that Nigeria can sleep. They leave their families behind, confront danger head on, and make sacrifices many of us will never see. Yet, the enemies of our nation continue their assault. They target our children. They murder innocent citizens. They force families from their homes. They turn thriving communities into places of fear and uncertainty. Their goal is simple: to break our spirit, divide our people, and steal the future of our nation. But Nigeria is stronger than terror. As we demand greater accountability, stronger security measures, and more effective action from those entrusted with our safety, we must also play our part. Support our security forces, salute their gallantry, stand with those who stand for us. If you see something, say something. Let us be our brother's keeper. We must never surrender to fear, despair, or hopelessness. This is not the time for division, not by tribe, not by religion, not by region, not by political party. Because terror recognizes no ethnicity, no faith, and no ideology. Its enemy is all of us. And together, united as one people, we can defeat it. For our children, for our communities, for our future, for Nigeria. Join the movement. Stand for our country. Stand for one another. Hashtag Unite Against Terror.
You're welcome back to Morning Express. Now, the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, PEBEC, has intensified reforms aimed at improving Nigeria's business environment, strengthening regulatory governance, and accelerating private sector-led economic growth in line with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's vision of building a $1 trillion economy. Joining us this morning virtually from the Birmingham City University International College, UK, is Dr. Abdul Ghaffar Arike-Wio. A very good morning to you, Doctor. Thank you so much for joining the program, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
Good morning and welcome, sir.
Well, could you kindly check if
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
End? All right, yeah, fantastic. We have your audio right now. Let's talk about the very large, staggering goal by the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to achieve a $1 trillion economy. With the reforms that we have seen in the current administration since its inception in 2023, do you think Nigeria is on the right track and the right trajectory towards achieving the goal?
Absolutely. Again, I'd like to first of all say that the drive towards achieving a $1 trillion economy in Nigeria is an ambiguous move. It's a very, very, very commendable one. It takes vision and foresight to be able to dream of such an economy. If you look at currently what we have as of 2025, based on the IMF data, Nigeria is accounting for about 290 billion in 2025 in terms of GDP. And we are looking at achieving a $1 trillion economy, which means that we're going to quadruple, if not more than that, what we have currently. So what does this mean for us? Basically, if the government is looking at this, it means that the government needs to work on increasing employment opportunities. Obviously, in that sense, the more people are in work, the more the economy would continue to boost. It means that poverty will be reduced. It means that the infrastructural development in the country would increase sporadically. It also means that there will be, we're going to be diversifying beyond oil exportation, which has been a consistent clamor that Nigeria needs to go back to becoming an export-driven country rather than an import-driven country. Obviously, no country can survive without imports, but one major thing we should consider is we should have more that we're exporting than we're importing. And then in that case, it means that we're also producing massively internally. Nigeria has so many natural resources that we need to work on, and that's commendable that the ministry that is in charge of the natural resources is also working on mines and other areas, our agriculture. These things need to be boosted, and we need to work. And I dare say that in terms of agriculture, one of our major problems, if you look at the environment which I am currently, which is the United Kingdom, there are lots of Africans, lots of Nigerians, and across the globe. If you look at based on data, 1 out of every African abroad, out of every 6 African abroad is a Nigerian. It's across the globe, which also means that we need to consume what we are eating in terms of agriculture. That gives us high potential in exporting.
But Doctor, in a moment, we'll also get to agriculture, food insecurity, and the very devastating national security crisis that we are facing, which has translated to the food crisis that Nigeria has also been dealing with. Let's talk about policy implementation beyond just policy formulation. How can we track and also assess that these policies and these reforms, translate to better business reforms and also, have very visible impact on businesses in Nigeria, on the economy that Nigerians can point to, can touch, can feel, and can see?
I think this is one of the things that we actually, which is an area I feel we're going to be going into. One of the ways that we can achieve this is the issue of ease of doing business. When you make life easy for people, when you make things very smooth for people, for example, to register a business and get started, if it becomes easier for people to do, then these things would be feasible. Achieving a $1 trillion economy, even earlier than we forecast, will be achievable. So if people, because when we have more local businesses, when we have more people producing, because these things, they don't come, it's not magic. It just has to be a process. You have to put certain things into place. When you give people tax relief, and I like to commend the recent tax policy that has been passed. Of course, nothing is perfect. Everything is subject to improvement. But so far, I think our taxing system is better off than it was. And that's why when we continue to have different policies, we need to back them up with implementation. When we set up committees to come up with policy, there's no need to set up another committee. Policing bill, the tax bill, and all of these things, as they're going fast, let there be policies that would go as smooth as possible and let people feel it. We understand when it comes to issues of economy and economic development, it's not immediate in most cases. It takes a period of time for it to materialize and mature. But there should be medium, short, and long-term policies that people can have the feel of some of these things as quickly as they can. When we talk about ease of doing business, when we talk about providing electricity for Nigeria, if we don't get the issue of electricity right, I'm afraid achieving a $1 trillion economy would just be a fallacy. If our infrastructure does not improve, and that's why when I hear some of the people condemning that, oh, is this what we need now? Do we need roads now? Do we need this now? I think government shouldn't focus on one thing. They need to look at these areas that would help us develop. And when they touch each sector, one after the other, we talk about public-private partnership. When these things are, when they mature, when they achieve, when they come to fruition, then we would see that our economy would be better for it. But again, in all of these things, it's not just government that can do it alone. We as citizens, we as both internal and external, we as citizens need to continue to help government achieve these dreams and goals.
Important that you've raised the matter of a PPP in this situation, a public-private partnership, especially regarding to the agricultural sector that you had mentioned. Nigeria at the moment is facing a very huge food security crisis owing to the insecurity, especially in major food-producing, states in northern Nigeria that have continued to suffer from terrorist and bandits attacks, which has also further stopped farmers from having access to their farms. The government alone cannot cater for the large amount of needs in terms of food and farm produce that Nigerians have. People have made suggestions of the government building more silos, having more storage, points for some of these grains and whatnot. But what is the place of the private sector in this? Do you think the government needs to open up its doors more for collaboration in the agricultural sector with private investors in order to curb this problem that Nigeria faces and address this food and hunger crisis that we are currently battling with?
Yes, absolutely. However, I feel like the way government needs to start is by empowering the small and medium scale businesses. Give them grants and monitor these grants. You don't just give people grants and leave them to it, because um, humans are humans generally and globally. When we see other opportunities and other means of diverting some of the funds that we get into private issues, we do. So give people grants, give them soft loans, create opportunities for small and medium businesses. Because you see, when we focus too much on the BUAs, the Dangotes, the national and global companies, then it means that we're concentrating wealth to one part. And achieving the $1 trillion economy, loans, then we also encourage people. You see, I think there's an adage that says that it's someone who has not visited another person's father's farm that thinks that his own father's farm is the largest and the biggest. I think the adage also works the other way. What am I trying to say is that we do not know the value of what we have in Nigeria. We have the land mass, we have the weather, and we have other opportunities for agriculture to thrive in Nigeria. Of course, yes, there are issues of insecurity in the north, but should food production be concentrated only in the north? Why can't we decentralize this thing? Why can't these state governments invest in agriculture, invest in the young ones? Literally any state in Nigeria that you visit now, I'm not certain about Lagos, but any other state that you visit in Nigeria has the land mass. If you're traveling, for example, from Lagos to Ibadan to Ilorin, you figure out that there are so many opportunities, so much land mass where we can build either silos, farms, and AI is becoming the thing now. We can digitize our farms, we can make things work for us. So I'm not sure why people are not being encouraged enough to get into these things. Now, the reform of NYSC, I want to see how NYSC can inculcate these agriculture into the core aspect of NYSC such that you can begin to encourage young ones to farm and make it look attractive for them.
While all of these encouragements are very important, Doctor, you haven't addressed the insecurity that I spoke about. Apart from the food security crisis, Nigeria is also facing very damning security problems in the country. And I stated that the farmers that used to have access to their farms no longer have access to their farms. Before we start to shift attention away from farm produce being gotten in large amounts of quantity from northern Nigeria to perhaps the southern part of the country, let's also address how these farmers can be able to go back to their farms. Let's address how we can be able to have a better, stable food, and farm produce supply across the country. And when we have addressed that matter, we can now start working towards ensuring that there is a decentralization of where the food comes from or what region the food comes from, and, to feed the larger expanse of land called Nigeria. I just need you to address the security matter in all of this discussion.
Yes, there are issues of insecurity in some parts of most significantly in the northern parts of the country. But I'm saying that should we continue to thrive on the issue of insecurity from the northern parts of Nigeria, most importantly, what happened to the south, the east, and other parts of the country? Why are they not also involved in large-scale farming that is involved in the north? Because insecurity is a huge issue. So now and then solving the issue of insecurity will take some time. So when insecurity is being addressed, while insecurity is being addressed, should we not also look for other alternatives that is something else apart from insecurity? Maybe it's a pandemic. Maybe it's something that is stopping one part of the country from large-scale production like we have in the north. Why can't states like Kwara, Osun, Oyo, why can't they be as productive in terms of in agriculture as other parts of the north. That's literally what I'm saying. I'm trying to say, let's not create excuse of insecurity for this issue that we're having at the moment in terms of agriculture. Let's focus on decentralization, meaning let state governments encourage their citizens more. And let state governments put more facilities on ground that if, for example, Kwara is known for providing cashew, for instance, or shea butter. If Osun is known for providing maybe pepper, if another state is known for providing onion, you see that at this point now we will begin to have cross fertilization of the transportation of agricultural produce. Not all concentrated in the north. That's literally what I'm trying to emphasize.
Doing business. So my question is, what is the PEBEC talking about? They've strengthened implementation of Business Facilitation Act by working closely with like 69 businesses facing ministries, departments, and agencies. Now, my question is, with the new plan of the PENCOM, that's the Nigerian Pensions Commission, trying to increase its contributions, statutory pensions contributions rate, what do you make of that? How does it actually factor the private sector in good light? How does it improve ease of doing business for them? Because they called it the Greek's gift to employees. Should that be implemented?
Can you take that question again? I lost it at the beginning.
I said you mentioned ease of doing business as one way that it can actually aid private sectors in improving the way they can increase the economic benefits for Nigeria and all of that. So my question is, with the new plans of the PENCOM's, Nigerian Pensions Commission trying to increase the contribution rates, they have this news that says they're trying to increase the contribution rates that employers are going to be making for their employees. And now these private sectors have called that a Greek gift. What do you make of it? Do you think it's going to actually improve the ease of doing business for private investors and private businesses?
Absolutely, it will if the private investors or private companies use resources well. Because there's one thing for resources to be available. There's one thing for you to invest. For example, you have more inflow of pension funds coming in or what have you. Are you just letting the money sit down, or are you investing that money into something profitable and something that, obviously everything has risks, but something that has low risks, whereby you can have turnovers, and then you can also still continue to invest the money. And at the end of the day, people who are making such contributions, it's going to be a win-win for everyone, both the investor and the contributor. So ultimately, I think this aspect has to do with the issue of management. Is the management using the funds well enough? You can have so much more money and not use it well. It's not how much you have now; it's how well you use such monies. And then you also figure out that there are small businesses that make very little income, and within a short period of time, they are able to grow their businesses over time. I think this is a bit individualistic. However, I want to personally recommend the stoppage of continuously blaming and depending on government. If government is able to achieve, I think the last administration worked so well on ease of doing business. But again, it's not really about how much businesses that are registered. If you look at all the businesses that are registered in the last administration and all of that, how many of them are functioning well? So it's not really about ease of registration of businesses or alone. It's about what are the opportunities for these businesses.
All right,
what are the grants that you're providing as well?
Dr. Abdul-Ghaffar, we'll come back to you in just a moment. Joining us in the studio this morning is Chief Dr. Ben Owodenjo, who is a policy analyst and also a regular here on Morning Express. A very good morning to you, Doctor. Thank you for joining the show.
Good morning, sir, and welcome to the show.
I'm sure you must have been following the analysis of Dr. Abdul-Ghaffar regarding, the ease of doing business. All of this in a bid to further drive the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's goal towards a $1 trillion economy. Let's just get your reaction to this matter as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the privilege. When we say ease of doing business, it suggests that there are difficulties in doing the business. When we say ease of doing business, it means that rendering of businesses in Nigeria is basically difficult. And then we want to now ease the business ecosystem. Why? Because of what? Corruption.
Yeah.
So to the extent that the private sector does not trust the public sector, to the extent that regulatory frameworks in Nigeria are preponderantly prebendal. So when we are emphasizing on ease, that word ease suggests that there are undue difficulties which are caused by corruption. Simple thing, dismantle corruption.
How do you simply dismantle corruption, Dr. Ben?
Dr. Ben will tell you that the government will determine, because one thing is to say something, another thing is for us to do what Professor Mog has talked about, and they call it renaissance, rebirth. Yes. For us to understand that for the country to achieve its goals, we must dismantle the corruption by agreeing that it does not it does not meet the interest of the country for us to be down, for us to be having difficulties unnecessarily in terms of doing business. So we will have to rejig the regulatory frameworks.
Yeah.
We have to redesign the bureaucracy. As a development expert, much of the difficulties are encountered from the point of view of the bureaucracy. People don't trust you. They don't, because they know that at the end of it all, there will be difficulties unnecessarily. They do unnecessary tasking, they do unnecessary corruption. Let me stop at that. So the businesses become unduly, difficult.
Now, Dr. Ben, you are here in Nigeria, and having known you for a while, you have always advocated for corruption to be entirely eradicated, and, owing to the fact that Nigeria has had its fair share of systemic corruption, which has impeded some of these developmental strides that we see. Corruption impedes it. Let's see if we can relate this to Dr. Abdul-Ghaffar, who is in the UK, a system that many might believe is working and free of corruption. But Dr. Abdul-Ghaffar, if you are still with us, I'm sure you must have listened to Dr. Ben's analysis on this, and he was quite particular about the corruption factor as the major reason why the $1 trillion economy goal might not be realistic, and also the ease of doing business might still be here for a little longer than expected. Let's get your perspective relating it to how the systems work in the UK.
I agree partially with him, and I acknowledge his very thoughtful contribution, which one area that I want to emphasize on is that corruption is not only an issue that is government-driven. So much corrupt. A typical Nigerian is corrupt, and that's just the truth of it. The extent of corruption is what we are not sure about. I mean, people cut corners in literally everywhere. And I also want to emphasize that a typical human is corrupt, not just a typical Nigerian, a typical human. The systems that are working in places like Europe, America, and all of these places, do you really think that these people who are in the advanced countries also don't want to cut corners? The systems are in check. And that's where government would come in that aspect in terms of putting system in place. But even where systems are available, people still bypass. People still don't pay their taxes as and when due. People still don't give government the accurate figures of what they have made to know, for example, private business owners who would give government a breakdown of what they have made over the years and also know which government will use in calculating their tax. They still would cut corners. So system is working in place here, but it doesn't mean people don't also cut corners. So what am I trying to say is that we need orientational change. People need to, if government is working on their own part and trying to do whatever they can, people also need to key into it and make their own contribution. So if government is going left and people are going right, things wouldn't really work. So I think strongly that it's a bilateral, it's collegial in terms of making the system work. If government is pushing and people are not pushing well enough, still it wouldn't work.
I want to come back to Dr. Ben. You mentioned rejigging of the economy, the policy. I want to believe you're equally aware that the government has this reform that it has made what as pertains to task. You know, small businesses have been improved because there's a turnover of a massive relief for businesses who are trying to, you know, come up and do good business. What do you make of that? Do you not think that is also one policy that has aid ease of doing business for private organizations?
Where are the small businesses that are improved? You have given me academic documents, or academic papers. I'm saying, you said they have improved where? We must be able to assess improvements based on verifiable information. We don't want to worry about the press releases the government people give. The level of poverty in Nigeria keeps increasing than decreasing. So we must measure the quantum and quality of ease of doing business from the point of view of how the masses fare. So the poverty is increasing and not abating. So I don't believe in that. What I believe in is that we must be able to agree as a country that it is to the interest of the country and to our future that we dismantle the clubs that make business activities in Nigeria difficult. So that analogy you gave, I don't believe in it.
So when you say dismantling the clause, what clause are there that is making...
The bureaucracy. Okay. Because those who control the levers of government are, in fact, bureaucracy. So have you gone to the ministry? Have you gone to the regulatory agencies in recent times? You find out that the systems are designed to fail. The systems are designed to actually frustrate the normal businessman.
I mean, I sort of see reasons why Dr. Ben is saying all of these things, because in the last couple of weeks we have seen, a fall and rise in global crude prices. Let's now veer off a little bit and talk about, regulatory agencies like NUPRC as well as the NMDPRA controlling the oil and gas sector. Local oil marketers had refused to drop, the prices of their petroleum products when the global crude prices dropped due to the ceasefire in the Middle East, citing that what they had in store were old stock and whatnot, and that conversation lingered on for a very long time. But now the global crude prices have gone up again. We won't talk about now, but at the time when the prices were down, local oil marketers refused to bring down their prices, and people were asking what agencies like the NMDPRA were doing to ensure that they put local oil marketers in check to abide by the rules, to play by the rules of the game, and not cheat Nigerians in any way, out of line. Let's just have you react to this.
It is simple. It is a simple corruption situation we have, because
corruption on whose part?
On all the parts. On
the marketers and NMDPRA?
A connivance. Okay. Yesterday I was on a station. I won't mention the name of the TV. I said, yes, the problem of ease of doing business in Nigeria is what we call elite conspiracy. The regulators and the operators conspire against the masses. And at the end of it, I found out that because it is easy to read academic papers, make something theoretical framework. In terms of implementation and practice, I found out that we're having a problem.
Mr. Ben, why would you say the government, the elite connived against the public when there is FCCPC to regulate prices and when there's actually, what would I call it now? Sorry, there's this thing coming to my head, but it's not coming. But we have the FCCPC, and we equally have other bodies that actually do a follow-up to see that, yes, these things are not out of bound. And even talking about what my colleague mentioned when he said the prices were brought down due to the Iraq and US war, but then they did not bring it down. But you know that the FCCPC was doing their job, because they actually cried out to these marketers, please bring this down and everything. So when you say the elite is conniving, how do you really mean?
What one thing is to say, you say they are to regulate. Are they regulating it? Do you know how we measure it? We measure it based on the output. We don't measure it based on what you said in your office. We don't measure public policy. We don't measure the performance based on what you said. Sometimes there was a government before, they said he wasn't sleeping, he wouldn't sleep. We will measure the masses, the economy will measure your activity based on the output. If you are measuring, doing all this, people are getting poorer and poorer and poorer, you have failed.
Okay.
You have totally failed. So we don't the people in the streets. Remember, governance is about the people in the streets. The masses. The masses are suffering. You are saying this, you have said now, and people are getting worse and worse and worse. Therefore, you have failed. As far as I'm concerned, if the regulators have cried on paper, and people are getting poorer, What do we say? So they are conniving. They are using preponderantly prebendalistic approach to governance.
Dr. Ben, can you explain this in layman terms?
Prebendalism is a public policy concept where people utilize their positions for their own benefit rather than for the public benefit. So preponderant means excessively using their positions against the masses. I'm supposed to be a manager of social place, and then instead of using it to deploy for public good, I use it to deploy for my own benefit. So how can somebody have 200-something billion naira alone worth of property? So these are people who are supposed to be regulating. You find out that they misuse, they misappropriate, they embezzle, they game the public. So how can the business be doing well? How can ease of doing business means there are systems that have made the business environment too difficult
to thrive.
Therefore, you don't dismantle it, you are just going to be reading temper.
Dr. Abdul Ghaffar, let me come back to you. Let's get your perspective on two issues relating to this matter. You are in the United Kingdom, and I'm sure you understand the importance of foreign direct investments in this drive towards a $1 trillion economy. How important is it, and how significant do you think the need for Nigeria to create bilateral relationships with countries and also to attract those FDIs? How do you think this could also drive this goal? And secondly, in terms of diaspora remittances, do you think this is something the federal government could tap into in harnessing more funds coming into the country in order to push for this very giant stride that we are aiming at?
Thank you very much. An area that I'll merge both questions is the fact that I think we should commend government where necessary, is the stability that is being created with the exchange rate now. As much as it's hard on us, as Nigerians, it's the stability is very important for the system to thrive. When you invest a certain amount and you know that in the next 1, 2, 3 years, when you are getting back your money, exchange rate wouldn't reduce the level of profit. I read about ShopRite's exit in Nigeria, and one of the things that I read was that they keep borrowing money in dollars, and because of the fall in exchange rates or the bad exchange rates, by the time they have to convert their money back to dollars, they either are at huge loss or there's a problem. So foreign direct investments, everything that you have mentioned, majority of the questions, 2 questions you've asked now, they fall both under stability in the exchange rate. If we have a fixed and stable exchange rate that maybe falls with 1 naira, rises with 2 naira, and the likes, then people can be confident enough in investing in Nigeria. We can have more foreign companies coming into the country, knowing fully well that if they go borrow money from international banks, by the time they convert their money back to the international currency of dollar, then there wouldn't be so much discrepancy at the point when they are. So in that aspect, I think we need to commend the government in terms of stabilizing the currency, the exchange rate. But one thing I want to draw on is this also lies in ease of doing business. The unnecessary bureaucracy and corruption that is involved is a major problem. I know someone who wanted to register, I think, a pure water company sometimes ago. They were about 2, and they were finding it so difficult to get NAFDAC to come inspect and certify, or either tell them what they need to do to improve or not. It took them months, if not years, before they could get NAFDAC. And how did they eventually get?
What was the major reason why they couldn't get NAFDAC to come and inspect their facility?
They would always. I can't tell for sure, but there would always be excuses. Eventually, I bet you, until when they bribed a certain number of people in that agency, in the States particularly, before they were able to come for inspection. And that alludes to Dr. Ben's talk about issue of undue bureaucracy, the corruption, preponderances, and all of that. It's a huge issue, and that's where I mean, my main question would then be that do we blame governments for that as well? I mean, will governments be everywhere? Will the DG of NAFDAC be everywhere? Of course not. They can only pass instructions. And if we as Nigerians are the ones that are killing ourselves behind, what more can we do? What more can the people at the helms of the affair do?
Dr. Ben, you just heard what Dr. Abdul just made mention of, his assertion. What do you make of it? Are you in alliance with what he just said, talking about ease of doing business that you've been mentioning all about the policy and all? What do you make of his assertion?
I align completely with the senior lecturer there. For me, we must measure ease of doing business, because business is about easing people's lives. And then to the extent that we are going more into poverty, the businesses are not being assisted because of a preponderantly prebendal ecosystem. How do we, why is it going to be so difficult to do business? Because he has already said so. You just have to sanitize somebody's pocket before he can allow you to do something simple. So the people who are really doing the business have known that it is about a game. Now, you are regulating me. I know that I can connect with you, bribe you, and you let me have my way. So it's not to the interest of the masses. It's not to the interest of the public, but it's to the interest of the elite. The marketers and the regulators, like what he said about when the issue of relying on international trade forces.
Yes.
Now, so they're not trying to make sure that it eases people's pains economically. They're looking at how it improves on their pockets. So, and that shouldn't be like that at all.
But when you talk about the elite includes the government, right?
Yes.
And every government will want a boost in the economy. What I mean is that by the establishment of any business or company, it therefore means that it will be needing a certain number of employees. Mm-hmm. And what that does for the nation in total or in reverse is that there's an improvement, there's a boost, because government cannot actually employ everybody. And that's where the private sector comes in. So when you said it's going to be an interest for their private pocket, where does that now leave the masses who would have been gainfully employed with these private businesses if they had been allowed to do business appropriately?
If you employ people, let us even start from the mode of employment. Let's start. It's first, I'm a public policy analyst. It fails from the employment. I will employ you based on you are from here, not, but the moment there is lack of merit in employment. So people are employed to come and help to game the system, not to come and help to deliver services. Do you know that if you become a local government chairman today, people will start beating drums. I've employed you to come and eat, not to come and work. So those people that you are employing are not coming there to help to ease business. They're coming there to help to eat money, to become more prebendal than ever before. So the system is in a way that it becomes difficult for the businesses to be done. Without dismantling the corruption system, we'll just be doing temper.
Let's still talk about the concept of local content. We have seen that properly and fantastically managed in the oil and gas sector by the federal government, where, via the NCDMB that has been handling and ensuring that local content is, maximally utilized in the country. However, there is another angle that we have not quite tapped into. There has been a lot of collaboration with the Chinese government by the Nigerian government. We see a lot of Chinese companies coming in to take up construction projects, even here in the Federal Capital Territory. But when it comes to ensuring that Nigerians, take up a larger percentage of the individuals who would partake or participate in the project, we don't really have figures pertaining to that. I understand you had raised concerns about merit, that jobs and projects should be merit-based and not just based on where one is from. But can we, in all sincerity, take away the concept of local content in all of this? Because at the end of the day, it is our country, it is Nigeria, and whatever happens here should be beneficial first to Nigerians before anyone else.
Do you know the difference?
What's the difference?
The difference is that these Chinese people we have mentioned, if they're going to bring you human resource, they bring you based on merit. In Nigeria, if you're going to bring local content, it will not be based on merit. It will not be based on who is
but how are you certain that the local content provided by Nigeria and Nigerians is not merit-based?
Because we are here.
And you see it?
We see it.
Okay, carry on.
If we don't see it, why are we so poor? To compare, in comparison, in tandem with the resources we have. See, I'm not a person that will measure my performance based on what I've go to my computer and print out my merit, my achievements. We see that we are in the streets every day. Are people not suffering? People are suffering. So we must, whatever you ask me, I must measure it based on how people are faring. It must be able to make people's lives get improved. So if I'm going to talk about local content, meaning human and material resource locally, will it be based on merit? Will I be going, because the mentality of Nigeria, we call it, Professor Kwanya calls it rent seeking. People want is an opportunity to eat, not an opportunity to serve. To that extent, the businesses will be poorly done, poorly delivered, and people are not going there to deliver services, unlike the Chinese. There was time other people like Togo, the artisans, they used to bring artisans to come to Nigeria to do minor things, because the artisan will go there from other countries to go there and do the work right. But a particular local person will go there to try to game you. So who do you want to? I want to employ somebody who will go and do tiling for my house. The man will do shorty job to take money, but somebody else will do the correct thing. So if you're a businessman, do you want to employ or apply or engage a local content person, human material, when you know that he will most probably game you? When he knows that he is most probably not employed there because he has the merit. So you want a return on investment as an investor, and you have employed local content people, local people which maybe have been employed, do not have the employee in Nigeria. You bring quota, you bring slots. So people are employed, not necessarily because they have the capacity in local content, and then they won't deliver. Otherwise, why are we, do you know sometimes, even to wear clothes, people want to go abroad and buy clothes because they know that the local man will probably do the wrong thing because he wants to eat money.
Well, you seem to have a certain streamlined perception of Nigeria and Nigerians,
because I'm here. We know it,
which is heavily influenced by the corruption that you see in certain sectors. But I will still come back to you, Dr. Abdul Ghaffar. If you are with us on the line, you heard my question to Dr. Ben regarding local content and the need to also ensure that while we attract these FDIs and while we collaborate and have bilateral relationships with other countries, Nigerians also benefit maximally from some of these projects. Let's get your perspective on this very important and key aspect of this discussion.
Yes, first of all, let me agree with Dr. Ben that there are lots of Nigerians who cut corners, and that's our major problem in Nigeria. We find pride and joy in cutting corners. We find joy also in cheating other people. For example, you give someone, I'll use this example to tile an environment for you and buy 2 bags of cement. He buys 2 bags actually, and there is a remainder of about half of a bag. What's he supposed to do? Give the half bag back to you? No, he wouldn't. He takes it home. Or he buys 1 bag and a half and manages that 1 bag and a half, and at the end of the day, you figure out that your things are. I think also one of the problems we have, I think naturally our problem is orientation. We find joy in boasting that my dress is from from the UK. Oh, my trousers are from the US. Oh, I bought this. Why don't we patronize our local content and local? However, there is a need also for us as local creators or local content producers to maintain a minimum level of standard and quality in whatever we're producing. For me, largely, I would speak based on someone who has experienced Nigeria and experienced outside of Nigeria. Largely, the problem is based on our orientation as Nigerians. We just need to rechannel, rejig, refigure our orientation, and I'm not sure how we're going to do that in the shortest possible time, because these things are already they have eaten deep into us. And it's been passed on generationally. So where do we start from? That's just a major problem now. Where do we really start from? Or is this how we're just going to continue to talk and not find any reasonable solution to all of our problems? So mainly, I wouldn't say. I also think that Nigeria is not out of order. To be very honest, if you visit many other countries or developing countries as well, or nations who are at par with us on the same level, or should I say, who are our age mates. We're not doing as badly as we we project ourselves to be. But what can we do better? Absolutely,
Ben
we can
here
do
agrees.
far much more.
No, I don't agree.
I don't think Dr. Ben here agrees with your assertion. But let's also let's have you react to
again. Just a quick one. Again. I'm speaking from the point of course, I'm based in the UK. And I've visited a couple of other countries that's outside of UK that are in Europe, in Africa as well, in other areas. It's okay to disagree, but I speak based on my my exposure to other areas. That are we the worst? No, we're not. But can we do better? 100%.
Okay, Dr. Ben,
I don't agree at all.
Okay.
Why? Those countries, can you compare their resources, natural resources, population-wise, resources-wise? Can we compare them? No. Some of these countries that are not even as endowed. You want us to compare with people like Afghanistan, Somalia, all these countries. I'm saying I don't agree at all, because we are like a sleeping giant. We are like a snoring elephant. We are not the worst because we have not perished entirely. Is it until we perish, until we are out of existence, that we know we are the worst? Do you know that there was a time Nigeria was the worst country on earth educationally? Do you know there was a time that the country was the poverty capital of the world? Do you know there was a time, I don't want to mention, but I'm trying to avoid being specific. I have a reason for not being specific, but I'm just giving you a general something. Do you know there was a time Nigeria was the worst infant mortality rated country in the world? Maternal mortality rated, open defecation. All the indices of human development were 0.00 for Nigeria compared to other smaller countries. So how else can we be that God endowed us so much and then we are poor because of leadership situations? So the ease of doing business is encircled within the concept of governance, within the concept of leadership. Now, the only way we can see is rebirth, like I was trying to say before. Professor Mwoga at the University of Nigeria, she taught us about the only thing we can do in Nigeria is to do rebirth. Call a national summit and decide that we wear sackcloths. We go into prayers and worship and prayers, and then pray to God to come and ease this thing out of us. Otherwise, there's no other way else. If we declare fasting, because we know that we are going down, we are suffering more than we should be suffering in the country of abundance. It's like we stay in an ocean and then we are thirsty. It doesn't make sense now. So we are underperforming in comparison with our resources vis-a-vis other countries. And then I don't think we are doing well.
Okay, Dr. Ben, permit me to mention, currently Nigeria has a GDP growth of $375 billion. And we are looking at getting to a point of $1 trillion as a landmark. Now, looking at the strategic growth pillar that this present government has aligned in place to be able to achieve this $1 trillion landmark projection, it's looking at industry policy expansion. It is looking at financial re-engineering. It is also looking at tax and revenue overhaul, also macro stability actions. Which of these do you think actually suffer the most, given the Nigerian situation that we are in? And aside looking at corruption and what's the other one now that you've been mentioning? Aside looking at corruption and
prebendalism.
Yes, aside looking at those two, what other thing do you think is limiting us from reaching this goal and looking at it vis-a-vis this strategy that the government has put in place?
Ethnicity, religion, and also mediocrity.
Okay.
Whatever you tell to a typical Nigerian, he sees it from the point of view of his ethnic origin or his religion. I don't want to go further on that. So this is, you've said, we're not in a PhD class. So remember, I take cognizance that people are listening to us who are not experts. So I normally deconstruct, I normally make my analysis simple for the viewers to understand. Otherwise, it will be sounding as if we're in a doctorate degree class at UNN. So I'm saying, all these things you've said now are victims of ethnicity, mediocrity, and then religion. People see things from where are you coming from. Now, you give me a paper, I see you now coming to my office to do something, I look at it, where are you from? Or which church do you go to, which mosque do you go to? So, as simple as mundane as possible, those things are, they impede our ease of doing business because people don't approve or disapprove or cooperate with you based on the merit of it, based on the love for country, but based on other trivial issues. So it is only a question of national rebirth, national rearmament, for us to understand that we are actually poorer than we should be. So we have to change our mind, we have to change our orientation, we have to, like what Dr. Abdul was saying, if we don't change our mind, and for the government to understand that it is even in our own enlightened self-interest that we change. Otherwise, we'll be just sleeping and snoring.
All right, we still have just about 4 minutes to round off this discussion. Dr. Abdul Ghaffar, let's get your reaction to an earlier matter that you had addressed. But with Dr. Ben here, I also want you to further expand on it. It's on strengthening public-private sector collaboration for economic growth in the country. You had made some very strong points earlier, but let's also refresh the viewers' minds on what you had stated so that Dr. Ben can also have his own reaction based on what you have said.
I think sincerity of purpose is one of the most important things that we can thrive on to enjoy public-private partnership. One of that is the tax infrastructure bill, I think that was signed by the Muhammad Buhari administration. We've seen companies like Dangote, rather than paying their taxes, building roads like BOA and all of those things. Personally, I think those are good policies that are, I mean, obviously we know that government can't do everything, but the level of sincerity amongst governments and these private sectors. One of the things I'm from the university system, and you realize that how universities globally thrive is by public-private partnership, community service from the universities, and private and philanthropies also donating monies and providing grants for research. And for research that would not sit on the shelves, by the way, that would help the country to grow. But again, it's one thing to do research; it's another thing for governments to take it. This thing, we ultimately, to be very honest, I bet you, if Nigerians change their mindset and orientation, 50% of our problems is solved. How many people do you see go to the filling station and would be willing to queue and go get an order? The gate man, when you go to a civil servant, to a federal ministry or any local ministry, the gate man is the first person that would ask you to give him or her a bribe before you can get in or access any points. You get to the secretary. If you're not kind to the secretary wouldn't allow you to see the boss. I mean, all these things have ripple effects. It's not just a governmental problem or governmental policies. All this our poverty line, our poverty rate. How many private company owners in Nigeria pay the minimum wage of 70,000 naira to their employees? But because they thrive on desperation that someone needs a job. Anyone who is even offered 25,000 naira or 50,000 naira would see it as a big deal, even though that money wouldn't cover transportation to work. So we need to be sincere, both public, private organizations. We need to be sincere with ourselves. We need to work on our orientation very, very much. And if governments can put in a couple of policies, not just policies, basically, workable policies. If you get to some places, the street lights or the traffic lights that have been put there, people still bypass traffic lights. What can governments do? I mean, why can't we? Let's work on ourselves first. Let's work on ourselves first. Obey traffic lights, as simple as that. Obey certain regulations. When you get to a place, when you're supposed to be on the queue. It will get to your turn. Nobody is there to play. So let's work on ourselves first as citizens, as individuals. When we work on ourselves, it will be very obvious that there are areas, these lapses that government has will be very obvious, and everyone will be very certain that this is a governmental problem.
Quite very strong pertinent points you've raised here, Dr. Abdul Ghaffar. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on Morning Express this morning. We wish you a very wonderful weekend ahead.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, Dr. Ben, in just 30 seconds, let's get your reaction to this last topic of ours.
The point is that we must be able to insist that the institutions of government become stronger. The weak institutions in government is the major reason why the businesses are difficult to do. For you to promote ease of doing business, institute stronger institutions and weaker individuals. Unlike why we have strong individuals and weaker institutions. So if the institutions are strong, and capable of delivering on its mission and vision, the businesses will become better. But otherwise, we'll just make a complicated technical discussion that people don't understand. And we don't want to be among the ones that game people, because they're listening to you, they don't know what they're talking about. You speak grammar, it does not help to improve their lives. So I prefer to say things that will help to multiply people's understanding of their status quo ante bellum. So we must be able to have stronger institutions and weaker individuals. By so doing, we're better off.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ben Owodenjo.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming.
God bless you.
Well, we have been speaking to two doctors in the House, Chief Dr. Ben Owodenjo, who is a policy analyst, as well as Dr. Abdul Ghaffar Arikewiyo, who is a lecturer of Birmingham City University International College, UK. We've been talking about the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's drive towards achieving a $1 trillion economy, as well as the importance of the ease of doing business in Nigeria. We also touched on the possibility of a public-private partnership across different sectors to drive economic growth in the country. Well, this is the size of the package on Morning Express this morning. Thank you so much for staying tuned. My name is Chijioke Okafo.
And I am Cynthia Okosa. Have a very lovely morning.
Thank you, Dr. Ben.
Thank you.